Hi, Craig. We got the sillies a little bit. And also we're starting very late because we were chatting for a very long time, but it's a lot of fun and I love my players. Last time on Well Dressed Bones, we had some more adventures in the Grand Archive of the Wandering Soul, aka the Gorgon Library in Iran, this great necromantic library that our players were in to try to find some information about, well, various things, but most importantly, kind of how to get to Elise, who is currently trapped in some way physically in the realm of death, not having died, but is stuck in there somehow and trying to figure out how to get to her and save her. Unfortunately, some old enemies slash family members are also in the library. Um, Abbot Tinnitus, as well as some of his staff, including Sister Tail, and they seem to be operating in their own way, figuring figuring out their own things. Um, uh, I could hear yelling through the wall for just a moment. Um, the um, what was I saying? Yes, seems to be working on their own things, and everybody else was trying to solve mysteries as well. Some of them finding new secrets, others finding that the potential for new secrets is in fact hidden away as too dangerous, and that there is a hidden archive under the library where the more dangerous texts are kept, and that's really the place that they need to get access to. In trying to plan a heist to get around the security and not have to go through the very dangerous test in which you have to die in order to gain actual admittance, the party decided to commune with the construct that makes up the entirety of the library and found that this construct was not, designed for intelligence. It has sort of this emergent gestalt intelligence from just being composed of hundreds of thousands of bones from various corpses. But was able to communicate with it. It was able to share information a little bit and also make sort of requests for getting something in its basement to stop bothering it so much and causing so much trouble, as well as getting especially Jamal to fix some of its books. And turns out that that thing bothering it in the basement is the other thing with the hidden archive, which is where the remnants are currently being sealed away, and that it seems like the high clerics of this temple have some sort of system of uh, communicating with them or trying to figure out why they're agitated in order to keep them in place. But the method of that you don't necessarily know because, of course, that is locked away. But deciding that you could offer your services to the library itself, and that may get you access, you decided to go and speak to the high clerics, specifically High Cleric Astura, because that was one May had started having a connection with. And as you came out into the central hall, finding a bit of a hubbub as Abbot Tinnitus, whose secret project Cal thinks may have to do with the hound-like creature that's been killing necromancers worldwide, and who seemingly is the one who kidnapped Elise, is there saying that he is ready and willing to take the test to gain entrance to the Forbidden Archive. All of you are there witnessing this in the crowd, perhaps struck a little bit by the suddenly strict timing of what is going to happen, as Tinnitus gaining access to this archive would be a very dangerous thing, especially for Cal and Cal's temple. And if you want to try to get there before him and get secrets before he has access to it, well, going the proper way of slowly gaining the trust of the high clerics you may not have enough time for. And it is with this announcement that has just been made by um, Tinnitus. Okay, well, something just fell. Something just fell real loud. Are is Mooney okay? Are the cats okay? Can I get a thumbs up? Okay.
Pepper just lost his mind. Sorry,
Okay.
Pepper. Get out of my room, though. Hey, get out of my room.
He's causing problems on purpose. Yes, with all of you having just joined this group, this hubbub that is happening in the central hall, we will open there with the murmur and shuffle of people all discussing and staring at Tinnitus as he has made this declaration saying that he is ready to be killed in order to take this test. As that kind of shocks the room into silence a little bit. You can see that Brother Rain, who is kind of moved to the front, says in French, "Are you quite sure, Abbot? This is, of course, very dangerous, a dangerous undertaking, and maybe something that you need to reflect on." No, I am sure. Let us begin. Very well. We shall take you to the meditation chamber and begin preparation, as is tradition, at midnight, which is about 4 hours from now. We will have you enter into the realm of death and begin your test. Thank you, High Cleric. Lead the way. And Rain signals for him to follow, and they step off and head out. Rest of the room immediately kind of breaks the silence and starts murmuring with each other, trying to figure out what's happening, as Cal sees Brother and Harkin sort of slide into her periphery and then step up close to her. Caligulus, this is an unexpected happening. Did you happen to find what the abbot was researching?
Cal looks at him and says, "Though I suppose, I mean, you do not inherit the command when he dies."
Fortunately, no. It goes to a vote, of course. Potentially from someone outside the temple. That's how we've got our dear abbot to begin with. I'm anxious, Caligulus. I fear this is potential disaster if he succeeds. And you both kind of hear clap, 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 like somebody really hustling, and you turn and look, cutting through the crowd, looking really like frazzled and anxious is Sister Tail, and she's got like a crumpled up piece of paper in her hand.
Oh boy.
I thought he was getting kicked out.
Yeah, that was me kicking him out because he was being bad. Um, yeah, Cal. I think Cal has kind of been like, well, I always imagine the worst case scenario. So Tenet is also wanting this thing, and maybe if I try being optimistic, he'll die. So I think she's a little alarmed by and Harkin seeming so concerned, and then definitely alarmed when Tail looks concerned.
Uh, Give me an insight check on the two of them real fast.
Um, 17.
With a 17, you can kind of see the dual, like, if he fucking dies, that would not be great for our temple. That would be like a little bit of political upheaval. We could ride that and it would be okay. If he succeeds, this is a fucking disaster. The fear is not of him failing, it's of him succeeding. And while
Okay.
that does not seem like the most likely outcome necessarily, it is one that is provoking a lot of fear, especially seemingly in Tail, as she hustles over and pushes the piece of paper into Harkin's hand. I found what he was looking at. What he was looking at before he marched over and announced he wanted to take the test. I couldn't get the original, but I copied it down. No. No, 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 no. Well, Caligulus, it seems like perhaps you wish to help us regardless of your feelings. And shows you the crumpled piece of paper. You have been looking at the card catalog for the different books, and when something is in kind of the Forbidden Archive, it still has a card. It's just that you're not getting more than like the one sentence overview, and that it's in the archive. You can't access it. Someone has clearly scribbled down in a real hurry a copy of a identification card for a book in the Forbidden Archive. The binding and control of greater spirits. And you think of research you noticed on the Hound, this creature, and it clicks for you. The fear that Talon and Harkin have, but don't quite know enough to know the extent of. Tinnitus is going to try to leash this hound and turn it against his enemies, including you. In fact, you will probably be first on the list. If he succeeds, if he gets that book, if he does that research, you may have a very short amount of time before you and your entire temple, Elise, if she's back, Elise's kids, her temple, everyone you care about, under the thumb of a creature that seemingly hundreds of necromancers could not stop. It's not just a threat, it is an existential threat. And I think with that, and these two looking at you for, it almost takes a moment to recognize, looking to you for guidance. You recognize it not in the face of two people that you knew growing up. You look at it in the same look as the people who follow you, people of your temple, hoping that you have the answer to a difficult question.
Cal, I think what um Cal first off, I guess I want to know maybe I'm thinking, does Cal just think he has the skill without trying to be able to pass this?
Um, I think, to get into Cal's psychology for a little bit, she's like, well, as much as I, personally fucking hate him, Tinnitus is powerful, which is why he kind of exists in the position he exists in. So, definitely stands a better chance than the average schmuck. But also, uh, you know, my life sucks and the entire universe is against me at all times, and therefore Tinnitus succeeding is the worst thing that could possibly happen and is therefore going to happen. I think this is just the weaponized pessimism about being like, Tinnitus is going to succeed and get this book 100% guaranteed because that's the worst thing that could happen to me.
Fair. Um,
Especially with Elise gone. That kind of light in the pessimism is gone.
I think if that is, I think an accurate idea of her mindset, I think she would look at them and be like, "What do you expect me to do? If anyone's going to sabotage him, it's going to be the two of you."
Um, well, um, Caligulus, we will not be welcome in the room where the ritual is taking place. We will observe through a window for a side room. Don't know what we could accomplish, even if we theoretically wanted to, but someone else taking the test would join him in the room in death. Perhaps then something could be made to happen. I think also with this, with the insight check from before, and just kind of looking around, being like, how do I get out of this? How do I stop having this conversation and stop having people look to me for instruction? You have noticed Sister Oss, Tinnitus's bodyguard, looks very distraught and upset that Tinnitus is going and doing this, and is like trying to follow him, and the other high clerics are like, nope, this is a private thing, sorry. And just seems to kind of be like at a loss for what to do.
He's
Cal.
of the dog that he already has. Sorry.
Oh,
And straightening up.
he's
Yeah.
bringing you back to the shelter. Cal exhaled really angrily through her nose and goes, "Oh, so one of you are volunteering? Which one is it going to be? You want to be the sacrifice here, the one who puts their life on the line to stop the big evil abbot. Oh, it's so brave of you and uncharacteristic to stand up."
um and Harkin like kind of takes this and like kind of shrugs it off of being like, yeah, so what? I'm not gonna risk my neck. Oh well. Tail looks fucking ashamed and like devastated, and then very quietly says, Caligulus, I'm not very powerful. I don't have a lot of strength. But if you think the best way to help is for me to take the test, I will. I don't think I can succeed. I don't think that's a good option. But if you think better, I'll try.
Don't be stupid, Tail, and don't insult me by pretending this is genuine and not just you trying to pretend that you would be willing to put anyone else's life, would put your life on the line for the sake of everyone else. You just want to be comfortable and safe. As you always do. So I will figure this shit out, as I always will. And my stupid fucking friends who have nothing to do with necromancy, they would do this for me. I would tell them not to, but they wouldn't fucking care. And the two of you are going and you're acting like this is such a impossible situation. You just have to go to the fragile abbot with her barely breathing temple to do it and solve this and solve the fucking problem of the entire world of necromancy. And it's so great and so noble that you guys have the instinct to ask someone else to do it. Don't fucking speak to me anymore. And she leaves.
As you turn to leave, you still have that like 17 insight. Tail looks like you fucking slapped her, and I think you see how much she was genuine in offering and how much your words cut her. And if anything, that just makes the kind of avalanche stronger of being like, no, 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 no. You don't get to like want to make this big sacrifice when you could have made a little sacrifice 80 years ago and had this not happen. So she is like genuinely very upset in a way that's kind of like making Cal go off on her more.
White
and-
woman's tears.
Yes. And Harkin kind of like takes a step back at like the force of your anger, but as you turn and leave, you just kind of like see for just like a quick second as you're turning away, like a really small smile and a really small like nod to himself. And with that 17, it's kind of like she's really an abbot now. Like a little bit of pride that you told him to fuck off about something that you would not have been capable of a couple years ago, you know, anger mixed with a little bit of pride that you were able to do that. Yes, you stomp off. They confer with each other for a moment and then walk off deeper into the library. I think the two of you, doing your own thing during this announcement, feel free to, if you want, make perception checks or insight checks or whatever to try to get like other people's reactions, to try to like get the attention of like the high clerics, to go and talk to them about this or what have you. But while you're doing that, I do think that Cal was loud enough. And you were like, oh, we heard that. We definitely heard that last part at least.
My only question is I don't know if she would have been doing it in French or not.
May speaks a bit of French.
May speaks a bit of French, and Fish
Tekano-
currently has comprehend languages,
Yes.
and Tekano
Tekano
is
goes,
probably going, I
Clearly
was very upset.
bad word. I don't want to. Bad word, you. I don't want to talk to you anymore. This is a running translation.
Kekino is like
Listen.
actively trying not to cry, even though it's not like directed at him at all.
Even without comprehend languages, even without Kekano, Fish is following along by just the sheer the manner with which this is being
Yeah,
delivered.
the indignation.
The emotion.
Yeah.
and they're like, hmm?
Fish
yeah.
goes, get him!
Yes. I don't think we have to alert anyone that this interaction happened.
If you want to give me like a perception check or something, you can be like, are other people paying attention to Cal?
Sure, I will.
Is this public
like-
enough?
What the fuck? Is this allowed? Is this allowed?
This is a library.
This is
Because
a
they're
library.
really loud.
Alrighty, I'm gonna roll perception.
The camera turns to Jamal, and he's got like a nosebleed.
That's 8. Fish has just been watching the thing, the interaction.
As Cal turns away, comes over to you. You probably catch sight of Jamal and Beliala, who had kind of it looks like they had like snuck around to try to like get the attention of one of the high clerics, and you can see was speaking quietly with one for just a moment. And as soon as you're like doing something getting loud, Jamal at least is like pushing through the crowd to try to get to you, and Beliala is kind of like being small and just like diving through the space that he makes as they hustle towards you and you reconvene.
Holy shit, right?
Cal, are you okay?
Cal comes to the table at the tent. She does not listen. She does not hear "Holy shit" or "Are you okay?" She goes, "So I guess." So what? What's the new plan? Are we just going to just go in, or are we just gonna? I don't know. Can't really assassinate him, I guess. But I guess is now my problem. Formally assigned by the Council of Necromancers. So what are we doing?
What? I am confused. Do you understand what's happening?
My French is good, but it's not that good.
Clayton said a lot of bad words. That's most of what I know, and she's very angry. Clayton, pick me up.
Not now.
We can talk about sewing.
No. He's trying to take control of the Death Hound. We don't have time. The two of them pleaded me to rescue them and rescue necromancy, so what are we going to do?
Well, they could go fuck themselves, but we should do something about the Hound. How can we roll this in with dealing with the basement remnants? One of us go do the test, one of us go into the basement?
The problem, I think, is whether or not whoever goes into the test is going to be able to take to this one-on-one.
I'll do it.
May just looks at Gal.
Cal looks at May and says, "Did you understand the part where I said one of my stupid fucking friends who doesn't even know how to do necromancy is going to volunteer to do this while these two can't?"
I sure did. I sure did.
Kekino puts flippers over his ears. Gladion is bad words.
Sorry, pausing as a player.
Hmm?
Sorry, can we do the test regardless, or are they strictly like, no, you're not a necromancer? I need a reminder there.
You got accepted into the library itself. You don't think there's any restrictions about being like, oh, well, you have to belong to a temple. Or something like that. It's the kind of thing of like doing a little necromancy and getting into the library is wildly different than getting sent into death to survive. Definitely a lot easier to do that second one if you are actually a necromancer. Yeah, it's not a requirement. It's just absolutely a like having some sort of like familiarity or training with this scenario may help.
Probably good. Yeah.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
And Fish is just gonna go off on a completely unreasonable thing of like, well, you know, I'm a godkin, so like I'm only just this shy of the immortality, so like I'll figure it out. It'll be fine. I'll go do it.
And it's like, with a rare meta seriously moment. You're a level 10.
Jamal is like, any way I can help, other than going into death. I'm level 4 now, after the time skip.
Oh, so anything that you can do except be useful, I get it. Yeah, yeah.
Is there any way that we could incapacitate him in a way that wouldn't break the library rules? The seduction plan is not going to work here unless you have an access to tone.
Me scrolling
Celiel
through
is
my
like,
spells.
so we get access to Tone. Where is Tone?
Holiday
know
with his
Tone?
sister.
Okay, do we know the sister's location?
Didn't put her on my threads, so I don't know.
Find a friend.
Belial is like, can we make some calls? Can we get a seduction plan rolling?
We can
Um,
just maybe it doesn't even have to be full seduction. We can just be like, do you know he's dating a new man? Here's his Instagram.
Mm.
We need to
Incapacitate him
cyber stalk.
emotionally.
We need to cyber stalk the former administrator.
Do we have a idea of like when he's going to go do the test? Is this like an instantaneous or like tomorrow after he prepares?
With the chatter of the High Clerics, you've got about 4 hours before the test starts. You don't know when the test ends. It could be like he's in there for 1 day, or he's in there for 10
Weeks.
minutes,
10
or he's in
years.
there for weeks. And it's genuinely a thing of like, could somebody survive in there for weeks? Maybe. I think maybe success is what matters, not how long it takes you. But yeah.
Can we not just? It should.
Can we not
Could it
just
just
let
be
him?
as simple as all that too? Could we not just go to the High Clerics and be like, "Hey, so like you know why he's going in there, right? Like, I know they're probably do the whole, you know, like we're an impartial body. It's not our problem that he's looking to like harness the power of this murderous creature to kill his enemies. That's not our business. But is it worth maybe saying that to them anyway?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And then be
It-
like, also, can we fix your books and you listen to the Forbidden City?
yeah, it just seems like time wise, you know, it's time to make some big swings about being like, instead of a plan of being like, hey, can we fix your books? Oh, when Jamal was down there, he said there were weird sounds, and we think you might have remnants you're trying to deal with. Maybe we could fix that for you. And instead, now you're kind of out of time, and it's like, you have big problems. We can fix it for you. Please, let's do this fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mason,
also,
no harm in asking kind of girly.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then Cal like nods her head, and then it's also like, Fish, you're not going to the death realm, but if the hound is related to God, the God realm at all, maybe. I mean, you have beast speech. How confident are you about making friends with this beast?
So confident. Then yeah.
The thing is, it would take a little bit of time you don't necessarily have if you're trying to do a bunch of other things. But like, you do know that at least Cal knows that Tinnitus was researching the hound and trying to figure out like what it is and how it works. And to a certain extent, you can try and like backtrace his progress and see if you can learn that information too.
Yeah. That sounds no. Fish is like, I'll backtrace the hound. I'll be friends with the hound, and we'll get there first. You guys go and do the thing. If like, I will happily not go into death if it means I get to talk to a dog. You know.
Yeah, I mean, May's up for it. May's thing is like, well, let's go find the big library guy, whatever his fucking name is, and be like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe don't let that dude in.
Cal's like, yes, Fish, you and Kakano research the hound, connection to it, trying to get it to at least agree not to work with. Well, now I think about it, it won't really matter if it agrees not to work with Tinnitus if it gets captured and spell. I don't know. Just convince it to eat him. It's not it could be useful. You know, if Tinnitus dies, it still could be useful that we have a companionship with the evil death beast. So
If I make a connection with it before it make Tinnitus
Beliala and
dies.
Jamal are like, yeah. Beliala's like, makes perfect sense. Jamal's like, yeah, okay.
yeah, Cal's like, okay, whatever. Same. Me and May are gonna just be like aggressive. This is what's going on. Fucking A team. Let's just talk shop with people. And so Cal's like, Beliala, you just keep an eye on things. You can follow people and just know where Tinnitus is at all times. Communicate with me by sending stone. If you have any updates, just follow him. It's not. There are no rules against that. Jamal, help Fish with the research because they're probably not going to get very far without you. And she goes like, do I have anybody left to assign? No, I did it. I am done. Okay, let's go.
Beliala like steps up to you, but is genuinely like gets a little too close into your personal space, just like takes a step forward and says, Polygenus, can I speak with you privately for just a moment?
Yeah.
And it's just like in front of everybody. You need to like actually step off to the side.
It's just like, yeah. Oh no.
As you
Sorry, real quick. How about Fish and Jamal leave for research, and Fish is already like going like, yeah, no, if I make a connection with the thing, then the Tinnitus tries to make a connection, then I can just easily sever it, then it's totally fine. Echoing into the distance.
like actually in work mode of like, this is an emergency, I need to put aside my dislike of Fish. So he is actually kind of like, I see how that could work. Yeah, you know, maybe that is something to consider. Like actually like bouncing ideas off each other as you walk away to go research.
Yes, so we've fucked off.
Well, May can approach like the high clerics at the same time if there's a moment.
Yeah, I was like, I'll shadow walk over there. Do not worry about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, May's gonna go over.
While Cal and Beliala step off to the side for just a moment, she says, I really like the library here, and there are some books in the Forbidden Archive that I was interested in reading. They seem to have really interesting topics, or they're by authors that I enjoy. And I was planning on maybe visiting a couple more times in the next, say 30 to 40 years, and maybe at some point after that, taking the test to go into the Forbidden Archive. But if you need me to take the test, I think I might be able to do it. Do you need me to?
Do you want to give up your life in our temple?
No, not particularly, no.
And I would never ask that.
Okay, just... Okay. Okay, I understand. What did you need help with?
Follow Tinnitus.
Got it. Immediately, like, disappears. you, for the first time, you have, like, trained with her a number of times, but you are too busy running your temple to be, like, with her doing magic all the time. So you just know that she shadow walks really easily. This is the first time she's done it, like, directly in your eye line, in the middle of a brightly lit room, and you can actually see how it works. She is essentially like, in one instant, summoning like a cloak of shadows that puts her enough in darkness to immediately disappear in a way that you can't do and nobody else you've met can do. She can shadow walk so easily, and she just disappears, and you just don't see her around, and you have to be like, well, I assume she's following Tinnitus somewhere. I got more important things to worry about. Fish and Jamal are doing research. We'll get to that in just a moment. May is heading over to the High Clerics to speak with them. Brother Rain and Sister Rag have headed off with Tinnitus, seem to be like prepping him, getting him prepared. But this was kind of, this was a big deal, a big thing that happened. So it seems like it drew maybe the rest of the high clerics that are like physically here in the temple. So there are like including some that you like haven't met, you like recognize by sight from the test, and a couple others that are like, oh, I have never seen them before. I don't know where they came from, but they've clearly got the high cleric badge. And they seem to, some of them based on maybe their temperament, seem to be kind of like looking around, chatting with some staff, like finding something to do. The rest seem to be gossiping, like, wow, that was crazy. Nobody's done that so dramatic in probably the last 100 years. And so you can kind of pick and choose like who you approach and how you approach.
Rain's the big senior guy. Yeah, I just go for
Rain, based on just
Yeah.
like your
senior.
Rain's the newest.
yes,
Just
just
be the
just
one that they're all turning to.
just based on your kind of like passive investigation, passive insight of like seeing the dynamics, you think that like Rain is not like any more senior than any of the high clerics. They're all theoretically the same rank.
Yeah.
Rain is maybe more influential just because he's young and smart and dynamic, and Sister Rag seems to be another very influential high cleric, so kind of the two leaders have left in a way. Rain is also more the mouthpiece because he speaks Western languages in a way that not all of the high clerics do. So you also have a thing of being like, not just who am I going to talk to, but like who can I talk to? Who can I confirm like shares a language with me?
Yeah, I think it will have to be Rain. For that alone, because you'll be able to communicate better.
Because you talked with Astura before, you do know that Brother Astura does speak Arabic, so you do have a language in common, because that's kind of what you were chatting with when you were talking about like the ancients in the building and the ruins and stuff like that. There's also a sister named Sister Tarsandin, who you've like overheard her name and like overheard her talking in sorry, no, it was Sister Rag that also speaks Russian. You have Sister Tarandon also, you have overheard speaking a little bit of Arabic with one of the others, and you know her name, although you haven't like been introduced or had a conversation with her. She was just there during the testing and stuff like that.
Sorry, give me a sec.
No, it's fine. You could pick one of the ones you could, that you can communicate with. You can try and like find a group of them and be like, "Hey, that was crazy, right? Who do I need to talk to?" And just like hope one of them has a language in common or a way to do that. Or you can be like, I need someone who's more influential. I'm gonna go after like Rain and Rag and try and catch one of them.
Can I do a perception to see if anyone seems kind of like unhappy about it?
Yeah. Give me a perception check.
Nice. That is a 25.
Okay. With a 25, there does seem to be a group of high clerics who are a little more kind of like curmudgeonly about it, kind of like that's not the way we did things in our day. You know, we recommended who should take the test after you meditated on it for 6 months, or something like that. Just kind of like downturn frowns and just kind of whispering to each other. You can tell from like body language. People just being like, this was not the right way for this to happen. Other people seem a little more like excited about it. Not that it's a good thing, but like it's an exciting thing that is happening. Like more anxious or nervous energy rather than anything else. Sister Tarsandon belongs to the kind of older curmudgeonly ones, and Brother Ostura seems to be like very anxious, and also seems to be kind of like maybe a bit of a loner. He's not like with the groups. He's kind of just looking around like for something to do to distract himself. But yeah, that's what you get with a 25. You also see a lot of like the normal clerics have kind of congregated here and are in the background making up this crowd, and a lot of them also seem like anxious and are whispering to each other and seem to be concerned by this turn of events. At least in the fact of it's like this is a big deal that only happens every once in a while, and we have to make sure we're ready. Rather than like this is a bad thing that's happening.
I think it's still going to have to be Rain, just because if I can't convince him as the most influential person, that's going to cause problems.
No, it's absolutely a thing of like you could try and get some of the high clerics on your side and then use their influence to try to convince Rain, or you could try and convince Rain or Rag to then convince the other clerics. Like, are you going for like a quality or quantity thing?
Quality, 100%. May is going to go up to Rain, and when there's like a gap in conversation, say, "Excuse me, Cleric Rain, could I have a private word with you?"
Rain has Rain has just kind of bowed out of the kind of private living areas like outside the library, which he walked back with Tinnitus and Sister Rag, and now he is leaving just himself. So you can assume that Tinnitus is back there. Said something about doing like a meditation beforehand. Getting prepped, whatever. And as you grab him, he says, "Yes, Miss Gladly. Sorry, it is a very busy time." He is speaking in French, but you can tell that like he is like slowing it down a little bit, of like knowing that you don't. You're not like totally fluent in this language. He's very purposely like choosing simpler
Love
words
that.
and talking a little slower. He's obviously noticed that you're not totally fluent. He says this is a very stressful time. There's a lot that needs to be done. But if there's something I can help you with, of course, I'd be happy to.
Yes, I rather fear the business, but it would be remiss of me not to, unfortunately. May is going to ask him to like, go somewhere private, and then May is going to take out Cat and ask him to hold it. And when
does she still want Cal there? Because Cal was going to talk.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so Cal has appeared by this point before they go to private. Okay.
I think May has gotten like a hold of him after like examining all the other clerics, and he's like, "Hey, can we talk privately?" And like at that point, Cal is like hustling up to be like, "Oh, I caught up with you. What's going on?" And he just says, "Yes, of course. Right this way," and just sort of opens the side room. It's a little like it's this overlap between the library and the living quarters of like this is clearly like a work room where somebody can quietly do research or work on projects or something like that. It's essentially just an empty, dim room with tables and chairs, and he leads you in. It seems a little agitated to like be out doing things and like preparing. So he doesn't sit, but he offers the seat to you. And as he closes the door and kind of the sound of the library disappears a little bit behind you. He says, what is it you wanted to speak of?
Scratch the cat thing. May looks at Cal and then says to him, we have very significant reason to suspect that Abbot Tinnitus is planning to use the knowledge he would access in the library were he to pass the test to commit, I wouldn't say mass murder, but not small murder either.
Rain kind of looks at you to see how serious you are.
May's very serious. At this point, May says, she holds out Cat and says, I can show you.
Pulls out a chair and sits down. Yes, please do.
And what she shows him is what we learnt about what he's been looking for with the Hound, and mixed in with Tinnitus's general demeanor, and how atrociously he treats his people, the callous disregard he has for health and life, and also the sanctity of knowledge, I would say. And then also the general news that we've received of the Hound. Basically, she's saying he's gonna fucking use this thing to kill a lot of necromancers.
Yes,
Don't fucking let him take the test.
You're bringing out a lot of circumstantial evidence that you're connecting together, and
it's reasonable though.
In regards to, yes, but he doesn't know Tinnitus. In regards to the Hound, he is very thoughtful and is we've heard about this, but we did not think that it had gotten so far. It had been so severe. We've heard it was seen in other necromancer communities and was potentially dangerous, but we didn't know what it was or what we could do. Some people have been here researching it, which is how we heard. Just obviously did not before now appreciate the extent of what a problem this was, and even now does not necessarily totally believe that you're not blowing it out of proportion to a certain extent, because you realize these people are very insular. They're very removed. They're about the library and just kind of this area, and that's it. So problems for other people seem a little more distant than probably they should. But he does hear you out and seem to take it very seriously. And once you finish your little presentation, he says, the test that Abbot Tinnitus will be undergoing tends to weed out those who act for selfish reasons. Not perfectly, but very well, historically.
No way would Abbot Tinnitus believe that he is acting for selfish reasons. He believes he is doing an act of good for all.
Well, that is the most dangerous kind.
Do we want to do the remnant stuff as well?
Yeah, so I don't know if this is the point of the conversation.
Maybe it's we think Tinnitus might be a problem, okay, well we'll look at that. Okay. Anyway, you got remnant issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe you feel like it would undercut your kind of immediately convincing by being, by the way, here's secrets we're not supposed to know. Yeah, maybe finish with Tinnitus first before you drop that bombshell.
No, yeah. I was more just thinking are we going to do this, not literally within this conversation. Yeah.
He says ultimately that the high clerics have influence over what people check out and read and what they do. It's very rare for someone to take this test and end up leaving the library afterwards, which does, kind of limit the harm they can do to the world at large. He's not saying like it's impossible for Tinnitus to do this and cause this harm. He's just saying like there are built-in mechanisms to kind of keep this from happening, and that. To a certain extent, like the agreement of the other high clerics, they can like remove things from the shelves for repair that just kind of like puts it out of certain people's reach for like a number of years until they've calmed down. That's something that has happened historically when somebody like really really wanted a dangerous piece of knowledge and wanted it right now. But ultimately, kind of like the end result is like, I understand your concerns and I share them, but also we are not like a moral authority who can judge that what he's doing is actually wrong, only that it's dangerous to people and dangerous to necromancy. So we have these safeguards and we will keep an eye on him, but we will not take like direct confrontational action to stop him should the worst come to pass, because he still seems to be leaning pretty hard on being like, well, I mean, if he's a bad guy, he's not going to pass. So he's just going to die and disappear forever.
May is like very angry about that, but I think she probably gets the sense she's not going to get anywhere with that anger, right?
Yeah.
Like,
May's angry, and Kel has the, oh my god, I reported to an authority figure that tinnitus was bad.
yeah, they
And
didn't
no one
believe
God,
listened to
so
me.
surprised.
Does Cal want to do the remnants, or is May gonna dump it on and be like, "Hey, sorry, but there's pests you got in the fucking basement"?
Cal wouldn't lead that. I think Cal is just like, you're articulate. I'm not. Cal's just like helping May. No, Cal's just helping May with French. Like anytime May stutters, Cal will rephrase it way more like eloquently, but she's like, you're the impassionate
The activist.
public speaker. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every
I'm
once
just
in a
here
while,
to.
every once in a while, May is like, tinnitus sucks. And Kel's like, yeah. Get him.
Okay, well, I guess once it's okay, not gonna get anywhere with this. Fine, we'll attack on another front.
You do think that it it helped. It just like wasn't the answer. Like definitely he seems to appreciate the he appreciates the warning and is going to like actively work to try to limit tinnitus. He just thinks he's not going to do that much.
Yeah. Okay, so Minnie, do we want to frame this in terms of like, hey, if we fix your books and deal with your remnants, will you let us fucking into death or what?
I wonder if this is just, he is so close to being by the rules, and he wasn't even the guy that we were supposed to be about being like, he's a little bit of a rule breaker. He's more like motivated by impassioning, and I think the angle is less like, do this and then you owe us, about being like, well, you have all these fucking problems which you're working on, and therefore we're gonna use that to like keep an eye on tinnitus and try to get our own goals to like counter what he's doing, and because there's nothing really against it about the idea of like another necromancer making it harder for somebody to pass the test, right? Like that's not considered like
as far as you know the way the test works, this is not something somebody will like explicitly share with you, but Cal is enough of like a kind of like nosy what are exactly the rules of engagement kind of thing to like get the edges of this issue. Is kind of like, we as, proctors of the test essentially can observe what you do in the realm of death, but also that's not somewhere we have like direct power or influence over. That is a neutral zone. So if you go there and slit Tinnitus's throat, we're not gonna like punish you for it. We won't like you, but you'll still have like passed the test, and we won't punish you for it. It's kind of like that's no man's land, you know. That's international waters. And because you did have that role before where you kind of looked at the like test history a little bit. You do remember like little margin notes that were like that were kind of things like, oh, these two people took a test together, and then they were being hunted by like a horrible monstrosity, and one of them like shoved the other down so they could escape alive. And it's like, we don't like that, but that's okay. You did survive.
It's a sound strategy.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't make you a good person, but it is a good strategy.
Okay. So how do we actually want to word this then?
Maybe something like, look, you need our help. We have specialists in these particular issues that you're having with the library, and therefore we're not going to break, not that this is necessarily anything, but I'm thinking we are not going to break any rules of the library. We are not going to attack this man, but understand that if we do things that you guys feel uncomfortable with, we want you to look the other way. But I don't know.
This is tricky. Usually I'm good at making moment. All right. When the Tinnitus stuff wraps up, May says, we also wanted to propose a mutually beneficial partnership of sorts, however temporary, as one of our team members noticed that you're having issues with damage to many of the books, and the library itself agrees. We would just ask that. Sorry, were you going to talk, Patrick?
He as you're saying that, he's kind of like, well, I mean, we try our best, you know. It's you come into our library and you insult our library, so we're not taking care enough of books, and then it's just kind of like, he's not saying that, it's just kind of like that body language. But then you say, and the library agrees, and he's just kind of like, you've communed with the library?
That's the point where Cal answers, yes, I spoke with it yesterday. I spoke with it, not yesterday. I spoke with it maybe an hour ago.
And what did the library say? You could see like a lot of natural suspicion in this. Like, yeah, people claim to do this, but
The library says clean your fucking room, Rain. So stop leaving your dishes in your room. The library thinks it's gross.
Can May psychically link the two of them? Like, so that Cal can show that the sensation of communing with the library, so it's not just her being like, yeah, it told me this. Suck it.
Is the library in the room with us right now? Cal just goes, hey, bud, tell me something that I can use to convince him.
We're in the library. You actually, Cal does feel like a bit of necromantic magic from Rain, and you feel like he is like reaching out to the library to confirm it, being like, yeah, sure. Wait a sec.
That's my mom. Oogie woogie woogie. He's like, what?
As he's just kind of like, yeah, sure. You talk to the library. The ceiling, which is in darkness, kind of rattles slightly, and it sounds like bony wind chimes in a way. As
Bony Wind Chimes is the name of the new character we're about to meet.
as bones sort of rattle and shift, and Rain's demeanor kind of like, it changes interest immediately and says, the library has confirmed that you communed with it for an extended period of time, and you said that it spoke to you?
Well, not spoke implies maybe more of a verbal component in more words, but it's similar to the way that one of my companion's familiar speaks. Can you ever watched Twilight Breaking Dawn? Uh, uh,
Is that
Yes,
the
I'm a big
one where
fan.
the baby and the werewolf are in love? No?
yeah, that one. It's a baby. It seems no. There, it was able to reach into my mind and take images and memories and exchange sort of give me impressions and feelings of what it was trying to convey. I got more clear communication than May or our other member
Yes,
Fish
I'm quite
did.
jealous, actually.
It sounds like you had more clear communication than I have, and I am soul bonded to this library. It
How goes
is
what? Like it's hard?
it is rare for someone to be able to speak, as you say, with the library itself. It's difficult necromantically. Most of us feel emotions in a way: pain, discomfort, joy. That is, well, that is extraordinary. What did the library ask of you?
Cal has this. Oh my god! Please don't fucking try to. She was so just this because, especially because she's so overwhelmed. Just like this expression that passed on their face, like, no, please don't call me extraordinary. I need you to stop.
I'm
I'm
good.
sorry you're
Maybe
bad
settle
at your
down.
job. I'm sorry you're bad at your job.
Yeah.
But like,
Cal is probably instantly like, don't say that. Just, no, knock it off. May is probably more like, well, I mean,
She is.
we did have like 4 people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we have a godkin connecting us, and Cal is very talented. You know, there were factors. Cal
Yeah.
is just like, compliment? No.
um, Cal says, it was concerned about rot and vermin and damage to its structure and its um, collection. And primarily, this is where our expertise becomes extremely unique. It was concerned about the residents that are in the restricted section. Those residents that are not quite corporeal.
As you're talking about, like, yes, you know, rodents, damaged books, he's just kind of nodding and like taking this in, like, yeah, you know, those are some standard complaints. You know, we've been trying a new extermination program, but it hasn't been the most effective, so maybe we'll try something else. Like, yeah, yeah, and then you sort of mention the remnants obliquely, and he just freezes. He's not looking at you for a moment. Then he kind of leans back, says, the library shared this with you.
Yes.
It is discomforted by its occupants in the basement.
And I told them that I have experience with uh, being similar to that. We all do.
Do you? How?
Yeah, I think I was like, gonna say this is a joke, but I think Cal does Jenny say this. May, you're the better storyteller. Which Cal is also like, leave stuff out if you need to.
Yeah. I think May will tell the story.
I'm just imagining Cal doing that in the room. May, you're the better storyteller. leave stuff out if you need to. It's like I'm right here.
I think so.
That's
May
so
will
fucking
tell.
fun.
May will tell a version of the story in which it's not an ancient's ruin, like it's it's more of a generic ruin, in which they encounter the Revenant, which is like also colluding with an extremely powerful, like remnant adjacent spirit, which is not alive, and how they successfully they repelled it. So
Okay, so you're very carefully like leaving out descriptions of Jonas and
yeah,
kind
it's
of
not
like
a lie,
what
but it's just
he
not the
is.
entire truth.
Yes, but essentially saying instead of like we have expertise with remnants, we have expertise with remnant-like entities. Okay. Then give me either a persuasion or a deception check.
How good is your persuasion, Vinny? Mine's a +5 at the moment.
Sorry, where did I put my?
Can one of us, can we get advantage from all the
Bush scrambles
From the
down
library?
the hallway. Like, you needed to tell a lie. I'm sorry.
You need to
Yeah,
persuade
I'm like,
somebody,
Hello.
please?
Hello?
Sorry. Mine's only +2.
Okay, so I'll be correct because I'm +5. Advantage for the library?
I think no advantage for this role specifically. Yeah.
You're killing me, Patrick. Alright, flashy genius, don't let me down now, girl. Alright. Not awful. I'm gonna boost that flashy genius up to a 19.
Oh, okay. DC was 18. Good job. Yeah. He is very like still during your story, and it's not till you get to the end that he starts to get kind of convinced and kind of has a more relaxed, starts to very slowly get in a more relaxed body posture, and says, well, what then would you recommend? The remnants have been very agitated, causing damage, causing problems, trying to escape for the last 2 years or so. But when we bring people to communicate with them, they refuse to or are not able to explain their agitation.
Hey, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Can I call in the classic D&D I know a guy?
It depends. Who are you calling?
So I'm not calling anyone in specifically, but is it feasible that May has heard of the Midnight Hotel?
I think at this point in time, genuinely, this is my lore. The Midnight Hotel is like just getting off the ground. Like the Midnight Hotel does exist, but it has not been around for very long. I don't think you know a guy in that like Anton Shutter can be like I
No,
could
no,
get
I
a
just like
thing.
that she's
But,
heard
like,
of it and
I
it's
think
capacities.
you've heard of it as a thing that exists. Yes.
Does she know about the magical capacities of the room?
I don't think so. I don't think that. I think that's something that was made in response to the remnants rather than something that already exists.
I think
You are
about
killing me.
Ing's comment that May's magic disciplines include metagames.
Include, it just is.
In that case, then May's going to look at Cal because one who deals with possession like way more than she does.
Cal says, "What's the value of keeping them in the collection? Why not move them somewhere else? You worried about them being in someone else's possession?"
We do. We are, of course, a neutral arbiter, and our security is such that it was deemed long ago that this would be the safest place to keep them. There was quite a lot of trouble when these beings were free before before all necromancers in Europe worked together to recapture them.
Sorry, I'm having a big think as a player.
Yeah. I was thinking that Cal can be like, we can talk to them. They'll want to talk to us. Be like, hey, we saw your dad. He says he doesn't love you. But also just about being like, God, I'm trying to remember. Would an ice heart be relevant for the remnants? Like a way for them to have like a place to live
Give
within
me
the ice heart?
give me an Arcana check.
Okay.
This is pure speculation, but I feel like, one could occupy one.
It's my turn in the little fun dimension chair. What kind of check is this?
Arcana.
Oh. 30.
Yeah, that's why I'm not giving you advantage.
Did you actually get 30?
Yeah. I got a
Jesus.
natural 19.
Jesus. With a 30 in Arcana, you think that in a metaphor that does not occur to Cal, but is for the players to understand, it's kind of like there's a pool of piranhas and you're trying to get them to another pool. The ice heart is a bucket. You think that you could use it to safely transport remnants, and with a 30, you know that like the more tightly you pack them, the like quicker it will decay the ice heart until it doesn't work anymore and breaks. But you could theoretically pack a bunch of them into one. You don't know how many are like extant, how many exist
Yeah.
here. It could be like 100, it could be like 7 million, because remnants don't take up, a lot of corporeal space. And depending on that, it could be like, I need one ice heart, or I need like 6 or 7 or something like that. But you do think you could pack them fairly tight with a Arcana of 30. You can't leave them in there for very long because they will decay the ice heart until it eventually breaks and they are free. It is not as and it does not like absorb remnants in the same way as like a soul catcher does. Like there has to be like a certain amount of force or persuasion to get them in there rather than just being like, hey, go here, and they're in there instantly. But as part of a transfer method or a temporary storage, absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, would May be familiar with soul catchers? As an
I
artificer?
I don't think so, just because they're so specifically like a necromancer thing. I think Cal probably knows they exist, but don't necessarily know how they work, but may be able to, if you want to, be like, hey, May, can you look up soulcasters? Like, May could figure it out once Cal made her aware of them and kind of generally how they work. But
Because here's the thing, May can study and recreate magical objects. It takes her time and a high DC. So she could feasibly build a soul catcher.
You could
It could take
feasibly build
anywhere
a
from
soul
like
catcher.
a week to a year. Like,
Yeah, correct. You could feasibly build a soul catcher. That is correct. And with Jonas on the loose, potentially making new remnants, that is a thing that may be good to know. Maybe good to have on hand.
But of course, she won't know that unless Cal says it. So whether it's contextual for Cal to bring it up is another matter.
Yeah.
But otherwise, May is going to be like to Cal, why don't we attempt to commune with them? Using fish, perhaps.
Cal goes, that historically goes well for us. But I suppose.
I'm sure they'll leap at the chance to show off their godkin powers.
No, it would maybe be a way to show off our abilities for the library and its inhabitants. To Rain, she says, Cleric Rain, I don't know if you have potential buyers or people that you trust that you may want to transport the remnants to end the library's pain, but I know ways that you could do that safely.
That is certainly something to consider. I think our first method, the thing we've tried and failed, but hopefully you can help us with, is to find what is causing them this distress. If they lashed out less, they would be more securely contained. And our understanding from the readings we've done, it does seem to cause them pain to be lashing out so against their prison. But if they um, if they can be reasoned with in some way, that is perhaps a first step. Beyond that, maybe we would try to find a place to move them to, but that unfortunately would be a longer term project. It would take a while to secure a new location where they could be moved. And so far, secrecy, the fact that no one knows that they're here, is one of our greatest security features. So please keep that to yourself.
Naturally, of course. Perhaps
I don't think Cal is enough of. Fish is not here, and Cal's maybe not enough to beat him. People like, oh, or else. What are you gonna do? Oh, we know a big fucking secret. Yes, you owe us.
May is, in response to that, going to say, well, I've studied many forms of symbology for a very significant period of time. A lot of them older ruins that naturally deal with house with dangerous creatures. If I were perhaps able to study the room, I might be able to concoct at least some sort of symbol mechanism to ease the library's pain in the meantime. A barrier of sorts.
And I and Fish can try to speak to the remnants directly, see if there's a way we can get them to
Communicate.
cause less, yes, and cause less issues.
Well, that sounds like it would be very helpful.
We are
Do you
not
wish to
doing.
do, do you
Oh,
wish to
sorry.
do
Go
this
ahead.
now or to prepare?
Cal says, I'd like to reconvene with the rest. I would like to reconvene with Fish, but I am making this clear, Cleric. We are not doing this out of pure generosity.
I will not speak for the others nor make promises based on information that may not come true. But if you do this for us, there may be accommodations that we can reach.
I think we can all agree that we're all reasonable individuals here. Let's take this one step at a time to see what happens.
I agree. It's very much like no promises, but if you can pull this off, obviously we'll be very grateful. And Cal's like, "Can I get that in writing?" And May's like, "No, we're good."
I was like, the library said you were gonna be an little fucking asshole. We should talk to Oscura instead.
As you kind of come to a agreement, and Rain gives you a hand to shake and says he will start speaking with the other high clerics to get this started. As you step up from the table and step outside the room, you see that the hallway where you were previously is filled with uh, normal clerics, many of whom have weapons, although not in a like on guard position, just having them. Necromantic weapons or have a shadow spear charged, and in the middle of them, not handcuffed in any way, but clearly like escorted, is Fish and Jamal. And with that, we will move over to what Fish and Jamal have been up to.
Wacky shenanigans ensue.
Okay, so Fish is like locked in to all of their animal handling experience,
Mhm.
thinking that that's going to help, and have they've said to Jamal, "You remember Isle Hind?"
Oh, yeah, yes, yes. She was tall, and she kept inviting me on walks to pass waste in the woods.
Who's inviting you to do? Okay, no, don't get caught up in the. Yeah, no. So like she would. She was a shapeshifter. She is a shapeshifter. Would moose and all sorts of shit. But like she started to favor the wolf, and she was really good at it. And basically, I spent a lot of time with her as a wolf, and so I feel like I understand wolves inherently as a part of my experience with this. So I've already got the head start on the hound.
Okay. Um. Uh. Fish. The thing is, at least to my understanding, this is a creature of necromancy that just kind of looks like a black dog or like a wolf or maybe like a bear-like creature. But you know that hopefully that
Listen,
helps.
physicality and presentation, these things do matter. Like it's not a it doesn't just happen. It's this is a choice that it made at some
Do you
point.
do you think getting in the right sort of mindset will help you communicate with this thing? Okay. Well, let's do some research and see if we can. I guess see if we can make that happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
You head on over to Sanchez, start doing searches for magical wolf-like creatures. You probably help by being like, okay, let's do magical creatures that are not wolves but have big teeth, because that's, obviously saw Isle in wolf form hundreds of times. Teeth were always bigger than like they were supposed to be, so probably big teeth. And that's just like how you're pitching in to get some of like weirder searches that are not quite matching up with what other people have searched. Give me a investigation check, flat. You are going to be adding that to whichever is the better of Jamal's rolls.
Yeah. Nat 20, nat 20, nat 20.
Nat 20. Okay, Nat 20 is definitely better than what Jamal got. So yeah, that's with the advantage.
24 total.
Or absolutely, you you're doing research. You're digging in. Jamal is coming up with bestiaries for different necromantic creatures in different regions in the world, and you keep going, nah, not that shit. And he keeps like taking big books to like flip through and try to find information, and you are instead just following your instincts. You're just like, all right, big teeth, okay. Oh, you know what? This seems interesting. Pull it off. Flip through it. Nope, boring. Okay. This other one, you just like you end up being really fast just because you are arbitrarily eliminating different books for vibes. and instinct.
But that's how fish works.
But that's how
So-
fish works. And maybe you're pulling on your connection magic a little bit without realizing it. Just like, well, you know, Cal has a connection with Tinnitus. Maybe maybe these instincts are like driving books that Tinnitus picked up. You end up compiling a number of books that are kind of bestiaries that focus on uh, black dog-like creatures, which is unfortunately kind of the most common form of necromantic creature. But you know, Cal did a bunch of this research, and Jamal is able to say, "Oh, we already read this book. We already looked at this and didn't think it was anything interesting." And you're just like, "Toss it out. We're going to the weirder stuff. We're going to the rarer stuff." If this was a normal thing, people would have figured it out already. We gotta go weirder. And by focusing on the weirder, you end up with a small stack of books, only one of which is a bestiary. The rest of them are random books. One is a novel, which is unexpected. It is called The Hound of the Baskervilles by Arthur Conan Doyle, which is, you know, who knows what drew you to that one, but whatever, put it in the stack. And a bunch of other random sources like that. One is a book of legends, and then the only one that's an actual bestiary, or at least kind of a bestiary, is Necromantic Legends of the British Isles by a Solomon Reith, which, unbeknownst to you, was the book that the last book that Cal saw Tinnitus reading.
Just in addition to all of this, I want to like add in that Fitch is also like considering like the appeasement of spirits and like actually like making proper connections with animals, as in like, you know, what do you do when you encounter a wild animal but you want to be friends with it? Give it a piece of meat, or and like what's the correct body language, and
This is how you're getting all your weird searches, because like you go to, you know, Jamal is picking up bestiaries and being like, oh, I'm not seeing any creatures exactly like this, so we can ignore a Southeast Asian necromantic tradition and focus somewhere else. And you're like, how to talk to weird beasts that want to kill you. And it's like, okay, here's a bunch of legends. Oh, here's this thing. This is a weird name I've never seen before. I'll look that up. And then it's like something that the bestiary missed. And so you end up like bringing in a lot of like nicher, rarer creatures into the conversation that Jamal would have totally ignored. And he
Fish
was
is
doing
going on a Wikipedia link hole.
There is Fish is on such a Wikipedia link hole that like it has circled around to being like the most useful thing. It's absolutely that thing of being like, you look at the list of like important national events that happened in this year and it's not on there, but you end up on a Wikipedia page for a specific event that was really important, but for some reason did not get linked on that list of being like, you're backdooring your way into relevant information. As you are flipping through these books, you are honestly probably still skimming a little bit. You know, kind of the high of the search is starting to wear off a little bit. It's been like it's only been like 45 minutes. Jamal is still like kind of on the first book that he's really taking a hard look at. And as you're flipping through, this book is sort of arranged as different legends from England and Scotland and Ireland, and after the legend, sort of like a short essay on like what kind of necromantic creature could have inspired this legend. Um, and it's just this interesting, like, kind of theoretical work. Not something Jamal would have picked out, but you're looking through it, and you find a legend near the back that is the Black Dog of Newgate, which you're looking at this like illustration of a guy in a weird coat and hat and a pipe running through the woods on the cover of this other book, and there's this like Doberman looking black dog, you know, the Hound of the Baskervilles, and you're like, okay, sure. You know, there's a couple of other black dog stories. They're all boring. There's like, there was a child who died and he was buried to consecrate this graveyard. And ever since then, this like black puppy has appeared, and no ghosts have ever done in this graveyard. It's like kind of boring stories like that, or things that are like seem relevant by the title but don't end up being relevant. You start diving in and reading this story about a prisoner in Newgate Prison in England who always claimed that he didn't do it, that he was innocent, that was fought and tortured by some other inmates. And there's a note here that, depending on the version of the legend, was set up by those inmates, had information fabricated, had a conspiracy to all agree that this guy did it in order to make him suffer. And that one day, England in the 1500s, not being a bastion of security or mental health, found him dead in his cell. Newgate Prison is the most horrific high security prison that existed in the Western world at the time, known for its awful conditions, and people dying was not that out of the ordinary. But a year later, the howling started. And it was shadows moving in the halls. Then the first of this man's tormentors, eaten, head missing, jaw marks into the torso, found in a sealed and enclosed cell. Then the legends started spreading, people describing a hound-like shadow stalking through Newgate Prison, and a strange whistling echoing off the walls. Once you hear the whistle, you're often the next to die. No amount of security, no amount of guards, nothing stops the death. Finally, the last one of the tormentors is released. He's served his sentence with a decent bribe in order to make it faster. He escapes. He goes home. Dog is not seen again. No shadows move in Newgate Prison. And they find him a few days later, door battered down, claw marks everywhere, and a savaged body, barely recognizable as person. And since then, there have always been legends about people hearing whispering, whistling, shadows in the shape of a large, large hound out of the corner of their eye. Ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And in the
Uh,
essay, yeah,
Just that if Fish is getting the impression that like the beast is like a literal like the next incarnation of the spirit of this guy, or is it a spirit that was spawned to avenge him or such a
it's
thing?
implied that it is like revenging him, whether it is literally him after death or some kind of spirit is nebulous in the legend itself. But Wreath in the essay afterwards is going to like get into what potentially it
Okay.
means and what he thinks that this creature is.
Okay.
Wreath writes afterwards that this legend may be the best example of a necromantic creature that is theoretical, has not been proven to exist, known as a Barghest. According to, and it's like a necromantic research you don't know, Barghest have been observed in cases where someone dies in a particularly horrific way, with a lot of anger and resentment and desire for revenge, and that the researcher is the researcher that Wreath is referring to says that, according to the legends he studied, this is someone who has died, been shunted into death, and is so angry, is so obsessed with revenge that they hang on afterwards. When ghosts or other spirits, other necromantic creatures are created, they often want revenge. But they are creatures that start immediately. They die, and immediately this spirit is created to try to seek revenge from lingering kind of near that border of life and death. A Barghest instead is a soul that actually traveled into death, that went deep into death, went almost to the edge, almost to oblivion, but just couldn't let it go. And out of a almost overwhelming amount of willpower, hung on. A year, 2 years, 100 years, a millennia, however long, this soul just sat and sank its claws into the rock of the death realm and refused to move on, as the wind of death stripped it of everything that made it human, that made it feel things like compassion and love, that only left a twisted and contorted beast-like creature obsessed with the one thing that was keeping them holding on. No reasonableness, no greater mind or understanding, not even really a feeling of why the revenge is necessary, or levels of culpability. Something that has been carved by the wind of death into the shape of violent and bloody revenge. And reading on in the essay, it's essentially there's this one researcher who said a Barghest is this, and he is someone who traveled into death and was a cultist at one of the important temples, one of the entryways to death, an necropoli for a number of years, and has explored death, but also is kind of seen as a crazy crackpot who has no idea what the fuck he's talking about. So it's this kind of alleged thing, but Reith goes on about being like, if this is true, it's interesting. Mechanically, this expert thinks that could work that way, but we don't have any proof. This is one of the very few stories of what may be a Barghest in popular imagination. Others being like the Beast of Guadin in France. It's possible that Sherlock Holmes's The Hound of the Baskervilles was inspired by stories about a Barghest rather than a actual incident of it happening. It really gets into being like, stories about this creature are probably a lot more common than this creature actually existing. This is something really rare. But you just keep coming back to the whistling that everyone describes, that Cal describes, and I think you know what this creature is. If not necessarily how to fight it, how to interact with it, you know what it is. And now you can research more about what a Barghest is, see if there's more information by other crazy crackpots in here. So to Jamal's perspective, he went, okay, I've done this research a couple times now for Cal. I really know this subject. I am an expert. I am in a library that is going to have way more resources, and I'm going to gather those in, and I'm really going to lock in. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to sleep. I'm just going to, do what Cal said, and I'm going to find this answer. And Fish wandered around and pulled a couple of random books off the shelves, was probably like eating a sandwich over one of them and just like dropping mustard onto the page, and went, I figured it out, and then had the correct answer. And that is both so relieving because there is an answer, and so infuriating because what the fuck?
What, like a Todd?
And it is at this time, as you have finished reading Reith's words and saying, I think I figured it out, to Jamal, that necromancers start entering the little workspace you're in, the little library cubby. There were some browsing the shelves to begin with. You've kind of gotten blind to them because they seem to be following you every once in a while just to keep an eye on you, especially with the threat of tinnitus.
Yeah,
now,
why wouldn't they?
Now
I'm so
are
interesting.
coming in. Exactly. Now more are coming in. The walls, you can see the bones are starting to shift and ripple, and you feel a sense of connection, like the library is trying to reach out to you or through you. These necromancers come in, most bearing weapons, led by Brother Astura, and says in Arabic with a kind of like minor necromancer translating into very rough English for Jamal. Would you mind coming with us, please? We need to have a discussion about security and your potential threat to it. And you are functionally arrested.
Okay. Can my son keep his drawings? Kekano has been drawing the black dog.
Mhm.
Just that's what he's been up to.
He has,
like
and he's also kind of like it's changed over time. It was like a dog shape. Now it's kind of like it's got big ears. It's like a giant rabbit. Now it's kind of an elephant. It's all like black crayon.
yes, yes. Security issue. Does that mean the drawings are going to be confiscated?
No, I think Kekino, was it? Kekino can keep the drawings. We just need to escort you to a meeting of the High Clerics to discuss a issue with your knowledge of the remnants.
Oh, that. Okay. And Fish is gonna go along, I guess, as
Yeah.
as
In
the
talking about it
amazing-
in public, you do realize that like everybody else who was like at the shelves and was there like turns around and becomes part of the arresting squad. It's absolutely
Yeah.
that kind of like everybody ends up being a cop situation.
Yeah. Yes, and Fish like figures this out and is like, well, in this situation, even I can't pull some crazy bullshit. So why yes, I will go with you.
As you are marched away, Jamal seems incredibly nervous. You end up in heading a little bit into sort of the private areas, sort of the living areas, just a bit though, because at the second door, Astora has you wait there for a moment before click. Door opens and out steps Brother Rain and Cal and May.
Now that the scenes have relinked, I would like for Fish to be like, oh, hey guys, listen, this isn't this is not as sinister as some people are seeming to think. This we're not like doing this to like breach. We're not trying to breach security and like learn the secrets. We're trying to help, and knowledge is the best way of doing that.
May looks at. Should we be concerned?
Rain looks a little apologetic and also a little chagrined about like how much of a response this had, and said, unfortunately, when you first expressed knowledge of the remnants, I was required to activate our security, as that is a sensitive topic. We had to isolate you. I didn't expect quite this response. Brother
Perfectly
Astora,
natural.
I do believe that they are here to help us with our issue of our other guests downstairs. Astora says, and you believe them? I do, actually, at least enough to try.
Astora, I'm deeply wounded. I thought we were going to be academic partners.
And
And May is like really joking. Like she's not like being a
Give me an
bitch.
insight check.
But Fish smiles at Rain like, yeah, I'm cool.
That is. I always forget my insight. I don't really do it very often. That's a 19.
Well, you usually try to argue for it being perception.
I sure do.
With a 19, you see that like he looks a little embarrassed and is trying not to be, because he was like, there's an emergency, gather up these people, we gotta do this, and then meets kind of the woman he was having a chat with and really liked, and is like, oh, and she's calling me out on this, oh, I didn't know she was involved. But when the talk turns to talk about remnants, you can see like a flash of suspicion in his eyes, and looks at you all a little bit more consideringly. You know that he was one of the people, if Fish told you. No, it wasn't you who got the really good perception check Yes, May got the really good perception check for the clerics going in. Brother Astura was there. Do you think he is one of the people like regularly dealing with the remnants and has been trying to solve the issue of like getting them to talk and figure out what's wrong? And so he is inherently way more like suspicious and cognizant of kind of the danger they
Fair
pose.
enough.
So like you seen that he seems like a nice guy as far as you know, as far as you've chatted with him. The remnants are kind of the one sore point that makes him very suspicious, maybe even paranoid, as like his eyes kind of like flick around and looks at everybody else that's in the room, including the other clerics that work for him. But he says, okay, well, Brother Brain, we can test that, but the danger these things pose. I am well aware, brother, but I would never operate unilaterally. I was bringing it to the other high clerics. We can discuss, but we do want to see if they can help, or at least prove that they can help as soon as possible.
Oh, we are all well aware of the danger present, and thankfully we are all taking it as seriously as possible, as much as it deserves, which is as much as possible. We are, I wouldn't say experts, but like we were.
Yes, we've
We
told
are
them all about and the very powerful story that to it, those old ruins that we met that fish.
Oh yes.
May
okay, so
subtext.
They've
No
been
jokes.
filled in on the story. They've been filled in on the story.
May cyclically says, if you fucking talk about Jonas, I'm
Yeah,
gonna ruin your little life.
Yeah,
Fish is like, and you didn't tell them about Jonas? Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
no, like Fish is accurately gathering. Like, okay, you've told the
I
story
was
and
sure.
left some bits out. I gotcha.
Yeah.
As you're like, oh yeah, we're experts. It seemed to be like he's like considering this, like trying to put it in perspective of believe it, and then it says, and brother, you're sure they're not a threat from the outside to release the remnants? I don't believe so, but of course we can take every possible consideration. Brother, please at least allow me to search their rooms and ensure there is no nefarious purposes here. You are staying in town, correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got nothing to hide, do we, guys?
I'll be subject to a Cal, kind of knowing that Cal being the only Fish. Does Fish know about the
I feel like
the rod yet?
No, they
I
don't
think
know
they-
about the rod.
Yeah.
I think they know May has it. They don't know
They
what
know
it
May
does.
has
Yeah.
something, but they
Yeah.
don't know at all. They're just like,
There's
it's
no
a big
details
fucking
about what
thing.
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
May
Was-
play that pretty close to the chest.
Was there a true spell on the test? Am I thinking about something there was a true spell on?
There was a truth spell on the entrance test. It was
Yeah.
a much lighter, like kind of hacked together version of the truth spell that you did before. Mechanically, you think it would have the observers have advantage on insight to tell if you were lying, rather than being like, you are forced to tell the truth. But none of you lied, so
Cal is like, time is sensitive. I will subject myself to a truth spell or light torture or whatever you need. Just do this fast.
Yeah, I
Um,
heard that if you choke out a person with a remnant, that like you can see the black veins in them. So feel free to give that a shot. You will see that I have none.
I've read that too. We haven't tested it, but it does come from a little bit of a suspect source, so we never really wanted to try it.
I understand.
Right. Well, brother, I think we can bring this to the other high clerics and move forward with this rather quickly, and we can take Cleric Denier to the testing chamber and ask there. Maybe we ask all of them separately. That could work. And I do really hope that you increase our security just in case. If it will make you feel better, brother, I agree. And if you would allow a search of your belongings that you brought here, I'm sure that would help put Brother Astura's mind at ease. But I am convinced we can go with a much quicker procedure in order to try and fix this. We are going to be busy this evening with Abbot Tinnitus's ceremony, so if we can't deal with this rather quickly before then, and there is another call on our time, of course we will have to wait until tomorrow or the day after, which causes some scheduling problems.
No, a quick game is a good game. I would just ask that if I could be searching of my room, as I have some personal, rather valuable items. Not that I expect theft, but just for my own peace of mind. I'm sure Brother Astura understands.
Give me a...
Sure, understands Brother Astura understands. It's just being like, is it really, you don't have... Cal is like, you really don't have a female cleric that could do the room searching for Miss Gladly?
I have a lot of things in my underwear drawer.
I know it. Yeah, that's what Cal's like trying to allude at. Just like, a woman's drawers are private, and I know what the things that Miss Gadley travels with are sensitive.
It's true. Very personal. It's my magic dildo!
Cal almost was like, no, she has all of her nudes for her boyfriend. And then it was like, are we going for the angle that she's single? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was I doing? Persuasion?
Yeah, persuasion.
Okay. It's not hot.
Advantage for magic dildo?
If Cal and Fish are genuinely trying to sell the angle about being like, hey, flirt with him, he's into you. Who cares if you're not single? If Cal and Fish are genuinely helping in that way, that would probably give you advantage. If it's not like a joke.
No, I was being serious. Cal's like, if lady stuff is personal, and I think it'd be funny if Fish came in instead of the innuendo.
If Cal starts on that, then Fish is immediately like, yeah!
Yeah!
Bro, you wanna Fish is like, you wanna go through her sex toys? Just making it really obvious.
Then yes, I'd say that's with advantage.
That's better. Okay. That brings it to a 17. I'll use Flash of Genius to get it to a 21.
Okay.
The power of friends and sex toy.
Well, that's, our subtitle for the series.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also the name of the episode.
Yes, power of friends and sex toys. With a 21, that actually does pass the DC quite a bit. The basic DC to like get you to come along was 12, and then the higher DC to be like, no, I will actually be like free in my room and not like restrained while you look through my stuff was 18. So yeah, yes, he kind of it looks a little embarrassed. He's kind of flushing and blushing a little bit. But yes, he agrees that of course you can be present for your things. And High Cleric Tarsandon has now been like, hey, what's the hubbub about? And it's like, oh, you're here. Also, can you, as a woman, help search this room? Sure. Just like completely missing the context of anything that was happening was like, I guess. And yes, you go off. They probably interrogate May first in the testing chamber just to get it out of the way, so you can go and help search the stuff. and they just ask essentially, did you tell the truth? Are you here to free the remnants? Are you infected with a remnant? Are the remnants working for you? Are you working for someone else to cause trouble with the remnants? Like, very
The
little like
usual
questions.
shit.
Yeah, very little like questions about your story and the expertise that you claim to have. Just very like, is this a trap? And I will do an insight with advantage. You, I assume, tell the truth, and you don't lie
Yeah.
because you think it would be fun.
No,
No, not fish.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
listen, Fish is very enthusiastic about telling
Yeah.
the truth in this case, which is like, yeah, no, we're not friends of remnants, okay?
Yeah. Don't you worry about us.
Double 18s, which definitely means when you all go through the testing, if you tell the truth, they believe you. They're like, oh, okay,
Oh,
yeah, no,
I
that
would
works.
hope so.
And
pulls up her
as
Cal pulls up her sleeve during the investigation, like, what? So leeches, knives? No?
no,
Alright.
there is a
They have Jamal questioned, and he's like, I
yeah.
genuinely don't know what's going on.
Yes.
And like Fish like goes to whoever the cleric is that's about to walk in with Jamal and goes like, you can do the choking thing on him.
It's like, okay.
Kings have to be consensual.
Yeah, Cal is like, torture me, and one of the brothers is like, all right, gets out a roll of knives. Brother Stewart's like, that won't be necessary. Aww. But yes, you all pass with flying colors, and essentially security is relaxed a little bit. Cal and Fish are Cal and Fish and Jamal are kind of like allowed to continue research, but like with minders, like very supervised, but you're not like handcuffed or taken away from anyone else. Sister Beliala, they do not find, which obviously causes a lot of like consternation, but but yeah, that's a point of concern, but not a huge one. As they ask the library, and the library can't seem to find her either. And Beliala and the library are like, don't tell them where I'm hiding. But yes, May heads out with some of the clerics, including Astura and Tarsandon, and do a search of their room. They have
Cal turns to
you-
Fish as they're leaving, and she's like, she's not actually going to. She's not actually interested in that cleric, right? She's not actually going to cheat on Sinner. And Jamal goes, what?
What's happening?
And Fish goes like, well, you don't even like him, so like, isn't this a win for you?
No, it would be a win for me, but I don't want May to go, oh, I'm such a horrible person because I cheated on my awful boyfriend, you know?
Yeah, she
That's
would,
not-
wouldn't she?
She
Not
would.
on the table. Do I have to call Sinner?
No.
No.
Well, no.
We just got in trouble over security breaches. I think making
Be a
an
bro,
outgoing
come on.
call is going to get us back on the radar.
Don't be a snitch.
You'll be a fucking target, Jamal.
May's gonna have
Jesus.
to refute these allegations, and
Yeah.
she comes back as soon as like, so I heard you cheated on me. It's like, what?
What?
What the
Yeah.
fuck are you
Cal and
talking
Fish
about?
are Fish are like, no, we told Jamal not to be a fucking narc, and we were just saying it might happen. We weren't saying it was happening.
Yeah, he's got an active imagination, okay? He's a reader.
But as you get to your the little room in your inn that you're staying in, you know, you pass most of the tests at this point, so they are keeping a close eye on you, but they like let you, you know, undo the security features on the closet and the chests and stuff like that, and go through a search. It really does become a like, what's this? Is this dangerous? And it's like, that's my thermos. It will do coffee or tea, whichever one
Yeah.
you like the most. Oh, just like it becomes kind of like it starts to become less suspicious and more be like a show and tell about like what's this interesting thing you have?
Yeah, which May is
Yeah.
like leaning into very much of
Yeah.
things I'm making for me.
Yeah.
And
Sure,
I would like to
interesting.
say that when
He thinks it's cool. He's an artificer fan, not someone who understands, but yeah.
So when it gets time to show them the crate, that's when she's going to be like, I'm really sorry, this is kind of like a woman-only thing. If sorry, get out. in those sort of, vibey. So shy.
The compromise is they don't leave, but they all turn around.
Reasonable.
Yeah, that's fine because I just don't want Astura to see it because he actually has ancient knowledge and he might be like, oh, like this is an
You
ancient
might
thing.
recognize it a little bit.
Yeah. So if he's turned around, that's fine. May is just like, oh, this is like, like takes it out, and is very much leaning into like, oh, this is something I'm just not a lie. It's not a lie.
Mr. Tarsandon
That's
is
Ellie.
like it pulls out like a 6-foot glass rod and said, "This is a lady thing."
Yes,
Yeah.
it is a lady thing. It is a lady thing, and May is going to. I'm bringing up the actual thing for what it does, so I can paraphrase immensely, like with the Jonas story.
Mhm.
May is going to talk about how it swaps physical abilities, but in such a way that it implies it's more about
It
private
can
stuff.
make you feel good,
Sex toy
and then
that
you're
gives me a
tired
dick.
afterwards.
Yeah, and May's going to act real embarrassed of like, I know it's a crazy project, but like there's a mark for it. Have you seen those housewives in Middle America? Girls need all they can get.
The
And
cleric
you
is
may
like,
be
okay,
wondering why I brought this to the library. Well, you see,
I can't travel without it, honestly. Once
it
you,
puts me to sleep.
I'll sell you one. Once you try it, you won't travel without it either.
The cleric's like, but why is it 6 feet long? It's like, it's a prototype, obviously. I'm
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to get the magic to work
Double-ended
on a
for the
smaller model.
ladies. We don't
Well,
judge.
when you guys hear about computers in the 90s and see how big they are, you'll understand how difficult to make
Wait,
shit small.
wait, this is fucking May's multi-level marketing. Like, would you like to buy in?
You're room for an
oh my
investment.
god.
Would you like to be your own boss? Called Pleasure Buddy. I love
Ellie-
when I come up with a dumb way to fucking get around one of Patrick's very logical obstacles, and then we have to go all in on fucking like necromancer periods.
I love
Yeah.
necromancer periods. Ellie, something about your gameplay that I just adore is when you're selling some bullshit affectionate, and it's like, but it's not a lie, and it's like, you're correct, but
Because the
deception is
best,
happening.
it's technically not a lie, which is the best
Yes.
sort of technicality.
As you're like trying to explain around what this does, give me an insight check.
Ooh, okay.
Her bedroom life is terrible.
Dirty 20.
Okay, dirty 20.
Yeah.
You see
Astura's bright red.
desire in Tarsandon's face of like she wants this. Maybe not enough to like take it from you, but there is certainly like a very covetous nature to the way she is looking at this right now, and it seems like with kind of great reluctance that she puts it back in the box, and you're like, oh god, I have met Cal. The like repression, the not talking about sex, it's really really bad. But yes, you see this sort of like moment of like, very like strong desire to take it from you in some way before she hesitantly puts it back.
May is going to like clear her throat and in like a quieter voice go, and of course, I would be very willing to share updates on prototypes as it becomes more accessible if you or anyone else might be interested.
That would be excellent. Yes. No. Let's put together an email chain and I want product updates.
Let's
Honestly,
get an Instagram going.
I'm willing to contribute to the Kickstarter. We'll get some stretch goals.
May has to go home and research magic vibrators so
Yes.
she can actually sell this lie.
Well,
Stretch-
she's having money problems. This is the solution.
Yeah. No, it's true.
That's so true.
Kickstarter stretch goal number 3. We develop the technology to shrink it under 6 feet.
Travel size as
Travel
a bonus
size.
goal.
It's still like 5 feet, but it can technically fit in a bag now.
The idea is it's like a swinger conversation piece where you're like, look at my beautiful glass statue in my home. Do
It's
you
like
know
those
about it?
obscene fucking bad dragon dildos that cannot be used in any way, shape, or form. But it looks pretty and it's on the shelf.
Yeah.
This is the stupidest we've gotten in a long time.
Hey,
Yeah.
if it works, it
You've said that
works.
a couple
liked it a
times
lot.
recently, and I don't think so.
She agrees. You could still see her kind of like attention like linger on the now closed crate a little bit, but she seems to be like, yeah, you know, give me some updates. That sounds great. She's talking to you like at a whisper because you are in a room with
Yeah.
a bunch of other people. But
And May's like, I'm sure you can understand now. Good kid.
yes, you will perhaps discuss this a bit later as the search is complete and you go to leave the room without Astora seeing it.
Yeah, May puts the. Can May close back up the arcane lock, or does Fish have to do that?
You had the password to the arcane
Yeah.
lock. It was not dispelled, so I think the arcane
Yeah,
lock
cool.
is still there.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
I think Hal's shadow stuff is like it
Gone,
was
yeah.
it was destroyed and like has to be reapplied. That's an extra layer of security. So like, you know, somebody could break in. They would absolutely have a hard time of it, and
Yeah.
obviously there's secrecy and obscurity of being like nobody knew this was here. That was important, but
And they'll never
Uh,
guess the password, which is 8008.
8085.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but you you think, okay, maybe I need to keep a little bit of an eye on Tarsanda.
Yeah.
Either she wants this because she recognizes this as a powerful magical object, or she's very repressed, and either way, it's dangerous.
Both.
Yeah, you pass your the tossing of the room, and you get out of there without Astura seeing that or overhearing the conversation. As you head back to the temple, anything else you want to do before you potentially like confront the remnants?
Fish would recap Cal on like the significant, like what they've learned about the Hound,
Yeah.
and being like, I think I could like make a legitimate connection with it, like perhaps before Tinnitus even gets the opportunity. And if like, you know, the thing was leaving dead bodies in your room anyway, I mean, like it's like it already likes you, so.
Cal doesn't know cats very well, so I think she tilts her or like, you know, back. So I think she tilts her head about that and being like, is it like a necromancer specific thing of the trying to give me bones?
And Fish rolls with it and goes, yeah, obviously it's just clocked that's something that you care about, and that's something that's a special token to you. And so, yeah.
Point of clarification: it did not give you bones; it gave you the decaying shadow bodies of necromantic
Yeah.
creatures. That
Yeah,
had
that's
threatened-
why-
Way
That sounds
better than
like
bones.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah,
little
and that's
confused,
the
but he
best
got the spirit.
approximation.
Yeah.
That's the best approximation that it could do. Yeah, it's being thoughtful.
And Cal's like, all right, well, I'll consider it. And I suppose if it kills me, I won't have to be able to do anything anyway, so it won't really matter. All right, we'll greet
It's
this
not gonna kill
creature.
you.
We'll greet this creature at some point. Hopefully even before let's say it's the end of the evening.
Jamal kind of like slips his hand into yours a little bit and gives it a small squeeze, like not saying anything, just like it'll be okay. He's here.
Cal taps his hand back, but has a little bit of a thing about being like, not in a like way, but just in a that's interesting way about being like, I was actually having a serious talk shop conversation with Fish, and you're
Yeah.
being like, and I'm your boyfriend.
And I'm your boyfriend, and also I'm here for you emotionally. And it's like I wasn't worried. It's like yes, but I'm worried because you talked about dying.
Cal
Yeah.
experiences the ick.
And like, you know, Fish doing their like, this is not like romance coded. This is a simply a like, you're my friend. I'm not gonna fucking let this thing fuck with you. You're not
Yeah.
gonna die. It's not gonna kill you.
No, absolutely. No, this is a Jamal insecurity and also miscommunication because for him being killed is Cal being killed is always inherently scary and bad, and for Cal it's just kind of Monday.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
It's
as
like, well, if I told you every time that I thought I was gonna die, you would never be able to peacefully live your life. It's fine.
you should tell me every
And
time. That's
he-
actually
he-
terrifying. What are you talking about?
Sinner and I were talking about this.
Yes. He gets on the phone with Sinner. And is like, hey, so the thing that you were saying about May.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. Cal's like, it's not always rational. And sometimes it's rational to me, but not rational to others. Like, Fish, I believed I was going to die in the Clanlands. You didn't hold that belief.
And you didn't.
I could have.
Yeah. But you didn't.
But no, if you want to know the threats, I do think that any of the clerics here could turn against me. Tinnitus could kill me and use the going into the death realm as an excuse and an alibi. I'm not entirely sure that Talon and Harkin are actually trying to help me and may try to force me into dying, so I will have to take the test. I just keep like, going off on this like
His hand is so sweaty now. It's like, no, share with me your concerns. Okay, I have so many. Buckle up. Oh, Jesus! So much more than I asked for. Yes, as May
Fish may
rejoins
kill
you.
us all by accident, and Fish is
Mhm.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
As,
Yeah. You
as
know the wall? Yeah.
as May rejoins you, speaking quietly with the
May's
High
like-
Cleric.
I'm selling sex toys now. If anyone asks.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm proud of
that's
you, May. I think this is a great next step.
yeah. I mean, I
after all,
think
make a
there's,
lot of money.
I think there is a market for it. Yeah.
You've been to America, yes, there's a market here, so that's what I'm doing if anyone asks.
Cal's like blushing, like, don't you fucking involve me in this. Being like, yep,
Early
that's
stages
the
of
market.
development.
Jamal's like, May, can we like talk afterwards? And, like, pre-order.
Yeah, that's what.
Yes,
I was
it's
like, so these are like necromancer specific, or for like all sorcerers, or is it like all like shadow themed?
Whoever, whatever, whenever,
Like with
however.
enough
in the
like
silicone.
with
You
an
put finger bones, and it's like if you
Oh.
can sense them, it's better
Ah!
for you. But if you can't sense them, well, whatever.
he gets at is like, so you're dating a necromancer, like his little book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know
One?
exactly. You're remote dating and you for sorcerers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they call it the team more, baby.
As the others gather and you see Brother Rain again, it seems like the High Clerics have spoken, and Sister Rag is joining him. It seems like the four of these High Clerics and the others are coming with you. It will just be you four with Jamal and the four High Clerics and two like higher ranking necromancers that seem like they will be blindfolded to not like reveal secrets of the room. They're just there to carry stuff, and there are magic sealing handcuffs and a rope
Kinky.
and some other stuff. Yeah, and
Blindfolds, a rope, and handcuffs.
Good market.
yeah, exactly. Big market. They got everything but the kitchen sink, and I'm gonna sell that sink.
Yeah, but then they're gonna fuck on it.
Brother Restora says in Arabic with Brother Rain translating, I think we're ready. Are you ready to commence?
Yes.
Yes.
Very well. And he puts his hand on the wall, this big design of finger
Patrick.
bone.
May is Loki recording this with Kat.
Okay. Give me a stealth check.
Bastard.
Don't fuck this up.
Fuck, now I'm kind of like, oh shit, I don't know if I want to do it if it's gonna risk.
If May, I mean, I can say because it's not like a harmful thing. Cal can, if May's like, hey, sneaky, Cal can cast pass without trace. It's just like, would they be like, okay?
They'd
Well,
probably
this
be
is why
like,
we're tying you up with rope.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, okay.
They are suspicious. It's
Okay,
just
no.
a matter of whether they actually witness you.
I
Filming.
won't do it if you're gonna make me roll for it because I want to save my last flash of genius thing, like that we might encounter in the room. But can May do just like a general perception roll
That
to
was
like
smart.
memorize as much as she can? Yeah.
I rolled with advantage to see perception to see if somebody noticed since you were kind of in a crowd for a little bit. It was a 1 and then a 2, and the 1 hit the 2 and knocked it over to a nat 20.
Cool. Yeah. May's metagaming abilities come in handy once again. Okay, I'm gonna do a general perception then.
And we'll just say this
Gonna
is your
memorize
perception
it.
check for like the whole time you're going in, trying to memorize like trap placement and things like that.
That's a 2. Which brings it up to an 11.
Okay.
Well, that too.
You sure you want to save that last flash of genius?
Is there a DC at 15?
It's just depending on what information you get on kind of like the layout and how to navigate in there, paying attention to the traps as you go through to try and like sneak through on your own, that kind of thing.
Ellie, Fish has Eldritch Thread, which is like the bardic inspiration. So
yeah.
if you want to use that now, that we can just let me know, and then in universe, May looks at Fish and Fish goes, "Oh yeah, yeah."
Sure. Is that gonna? How often do you get to use that though? Because you might want
once-
that for the remnant stuff.
Yeah, it's once a long rest.
No. I'd rather us maybe be a little bit lost, like have getting back in,
Okay.
but
I
like
will
have
say
the
you can
remnant
only
stuff
use
done.
Bardic on someone else.
Yeah, you can't use Bardic on yourself,
Oh,
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
I don't.
Because
Oh,
it's
okay.
not.
It's
It's
only
not
on
just
someone else.
sacrificing it for themselves. It's potentially it could be used on a different role later on, but it would
Yeah.
have to be
still
Mimi
someone
or
else.
Jamal.
Okay.
Mhm.
Tell you what, we'll do a trade. You do it for me now, and I'll maybe do it for you.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be
Okay.
smart. Okay. It's a D6.
We're prepping to go in, and Fish looks at May, and she's looking like, I got to get my shit together to memorize absolutely everything that's in this room. And Fish is like, I got you.
Yeah.
So, add a d6.
You
Oh,
reach
okay.
out and connect with May to give her a little boost, and you feel like your eyes kind of hurt, like they got grit in them, which reminds you of your eyes hurting when you kind of peeled back the Jonas influence, just for like a moment, and it's like, ow, okay. And what did you get on your d6?
I got a 4, so that's a 15.
Okay, a 15.
That's better. Thank you.
Yes. As you head in, Brother Astora places a hand on this wall of bones here, finger bones, and they
Just
start.
a very brief character moment. Just the grit in the eyes, and Fish goes, "Are you okay?"
And he's like, yes, are you? Shut up, I'm
Yeah.
trying to memorize. And Maeve's like, staring hardcore at everything.
Yeah,
Eyes.
just checking in. Just checking in. Don't forget to blink. It's
This is
healthy.
why your eyes hurt.
Yeah, May has the grit in, or Fish has the grit in their eyes, and May's eyes keep switching from the cat pupil to the regular pupil over
Yeah.
and over.
As the finger bones making up this passage click back out of place, open this little doorway, you see these spikes of finger bones pointing at you, and as you look close, they seem to vibrate ever so slightly at the tip, as if they're waiting to fly out and stab you. Don't try to fuck the wall. It's just like a logistical nightmare.
You remember when that was one of our alternate plans?
Yeah. Fuck the library.
As you head through, you're heading in first, right behind Brother Astora, and you see him just kind of disappear into this wall of black before you. And as you step forward, you start to disappear too. You entirely lose your sense of sight. You are wholly and completely blind. With your perception, carefully feeling the air around you, you know that you are on a slight slope, still walking. Ground is still underneath you. And you feel a brush of Brother Astora just kind of reaching out and like taking your elbow to keep you from tripping. You didn't need it. Your perception was high enough that you're not tripping over it. But very clearly he can see and you can't. After walking for just a moment, maybe 20 feet, maybe 25, suddenly you are past it and are looking at the glow of the lantern that Brother Astora is carrying. And you see a very dark, only lit by this one lantern, hallway and steps leading deeper into the earth. As you head down and follow through, first things first is a big split in the path, and you take a left instead of a right. You smell mustiness, old paper. You think maybe the library is down the right-hand path. As you're traveling down here, the pathway starts to get narrower, starts to starts to twist and turn, and you're finding tons of little side passages that branch out from the way you're going. You are keeping a pretty good mental map in your head about what pathways to take, but it is clearly something of a maze down here. And you're seeing a lot more natural rock, a lot more, kind of uncarved cave spaces and pathways. And you're also seeing more signs of the ancients. You'll pass through a cave and then a room will be very like square cut, and you'll see some symbols on the walls, almost worn away, but you'll recognize the writing. And it seems that down here, the bone decorations, the pieces of construct are very few and far between. They have not yet, expanded really into this area, which means that most of the carvings are undamaged and, or at least very lightly damaged. And you're like, okay, definitely want to spend some time down here and be able to learn some stuff. You realize that if it is this good down here, you could write a paper where, as long as you said like, this is my theory, instead of like, this is proof that I have and that I've studied, you could probably pass off like 50% of the safe things you learned from the ruin in a paper as coming from exploring and existing within this ancient ruin. You think you could swing that. You're seeing a lot of signs that are familiar. You almost feel a little bit of kind of like the layout is familiar, of being like, I'm recognizing how ancients like built their buildings now. The layout of the rooms, kind of the flow to them. And as you are trying to keep these two thoughts in your head, the focus on where you are and where you're going, and the potential for future successes, you are brought to a door. It is a very it's a very like normal sized door, maybe even a little small, like you'd have to stoop a little bit to get underneath. But the door itself is very decorously carved stone, all ancient patterns. And you are there for the others to catch up. And outside this door, um, uh, Brother Astora says, with Brother Rain translating, we are now going to allow you into the vault where the remnants reside. We should go over the procedure. Once you enter, there is a safe part of the room delineated by a carved line on the ground. So long as you stay on the door side, the remnants cannot get you. That is the safe place. Only one will go through into the remnants' chambers. They will be handcuffed and tied. They will allow themselves to be taken over by the remnant, where the remnant will be able to communicate with us and express needs, and we're hoping that your expertise will be able to, give us more than that. And after that, we use the rope to willingly, if the remnant wants to, gives up the person. They know they can't escape this way. If they don't do it willingly, we use the rope to drag them across. On this line are two small soul catchers that prevent the remnants from, as a secondary security measure, from trying to sneak out with a person who has talked to them, that they get sucked out pretty much instantly. As you get all this, and as you are told what to expect, wait for a round of nods that you all understand. He says, "Who will it be that crosses the line?"
So, my thought is we have someone, one of the clerics, be possessed, and we talk to them, and then if we work out like an understanding of, I'm Ink speaking, by the way, work out an understanding of cooperation, then it's like, okay, and now one of us gets possessed, probably Fish.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, maybe Fish off the bat, but then like,
I'm
I guess,
happy with that, but
but then it's also occurred to me, if they're gonna be in handcuffs, will their magic actually, like, their godkin stuff doesn't transcend the cuffs, right?
That is actually a very interesting question, and someone could do an Arcana check about it. Probably Fish, because it's Fish's power.
And Cal's argument would be, I should get possessed because my powerful thing here is my brain and my prior knowledge, which will be completely unaffected by the handcuffs. My necromancy is helpful, but is not necessarily what I am coming in to use while communicating with remnants. And I unfortunately, because Cal already said, no, you're not fucking going through the trial just to save me. Cal is already in a bit of a, like, this is so funny because I'm sorry, this is only a Petrific reference, but you know, Tamara on the ship. Lawrence isn't gonna let someone else take the dragon if he's not willing to.
Yes, you've got to be willing to put your own life on the line.
Exactly. When you're a captain, you have to volunteer for the bad job first.
I'm all for Cal getting possessed.
I'm also all for Cal getting possessed. We kept losing it. We kept getting denied.
We have to, yeah. It's just
Also,
a matter of first or second.
when this is once we get in there, or even now beginning with the door, I want to use layers of history to see what this duel was originally about.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like you kind of had a tentative plan, but not anything definite. Do you want to do the like, we'll have a cleric like establish terms first, or do you want to jump right in?
It kind of framing it less about being like, we'll let you, about being like, hey, you guys are little scaredy cats and think we're fucking thing. You show us how to do it properly, and then we have it safe trial zone, and then we'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
A baseline.
Here is Sister Rag, Sister Tarsandin, Brother Astora, and Brother Rain. They all look at each other and it's like, you know, you want to do it, do it. You did it last time. Brother Astora is just like, I'll do it. That's fine. And
He's trying to be brave in front of May.
Yes, and once that is agreed, you all head inside. As you open the door,
Do some WD-40 on that bad boy.
yeah,
Oh my god, it keeps going!
it does. It's a long sound effect. That's why I had to stop it.
Like a fart.
You enter a room. It was clearly a room of the ancients, but something happened. Rather than being flat, it's kind of like canted at an angle, like there was a sinkhole and like the whole room shifted. The far end is so dark that light can barely reach. But you can see, as Astora holds up the lantern, it playing over some symbols. Yes, I know. I'm getting to it in just a minute. I'm talking about what the others see. Be patient. But this is an incredibly dark, dank space. And both of you can feel kind of the vibration of like magic in the air of like something here is active and running and keeping these remnants here, whatever security there is. May sees a room that is long past its glory days, but is still intact in a way that you have not found or have found very rarely uh, in you've never found except in the ruins of being like there's no where this place was sealed and there is carvings everywhere. um Some of the carvings you recognize, some of them you don't. You do think if you could get a hand on them, especially the ones on the far wall, on like the quote unquote remnant side, you would be able to pump enough magic in them. They seem intact enough to be able to activate them and like get that psychic message that the ancients left in their writing. But obviously, that's an incredibly dangerous thing to do. But as as uh, as you're looking at this room and doing layers of history, the thing you notice the most is like the carving across the ground, the line, the safety line has clearly been done really roughly in like more modern times. It's not worn in nearly the same ways as the rest of the room. This was clearly done by the necromancers, and it has been lined with some like wire work that's swirling into some symbols that you recognize as kind of like necromantic symbol magic, just another security layer. And on two little pedestals, almost you think maybe like fused into the rock using elemental magic, is what looks like kind of a glass globe, but you recognize that ever so faint, you know, the not even really perceptible hum of magic vibrating really fast as these two soul catchers are here to protect the room. And the way the room is built up is like the space between them is the width of a person. Like there is no way to like try and finagle your way out of being like I'm far enough away from both of them that if the remnant really hangs on it won't get sucked out. No, they thought about that. It does seem like a pretty good barrier. um as um as Astora sets down the lantern, gets handcuffed and the rope tied around the handcuffs, ready to walk out into the singular wooden chair just sitting in the remnant side of the room. You see him get ready, and he goes to pass, and he stumbles. Stumbles for just a moment as he's passing by the soul catchers, and mumbles something in Arabic that May understands, like "Ow, that really hurt," before standing up and pushing into the room itself. Sits down in the chair. And they were here the whole time. Disattaching from crevices, the shadows under the carving, little streamers of black start to float out and almost sniff at him. Slither over his skin. You can feel, all of you, but especially Fish, you can feel anger and hatred and disgust, all these negative emotions just sort of poisoning the air. And then they fuck off. They don't absorb into him. There's no flash of the black veins. There's none of them disappearing. They just start to back off. And Brother Rain says, Well, I was a little bit afraid of this. They don't always take whoever goes forward. We don't know why they're choosy, but they seem to decide whether they want to infest someone or not.
Some fresh meat perhaps is in order.
Perhaps so. Brother, are you all right? Do you need to be brought back by rope? No, none of them settled into me. I'm fine. And he just kind of casually walks out. And you see that flinch again. He was clearly bracing for it, but it hurts as he walks out between the soul catchers. No remnant comes out of his skin into them. No flash of black. But walking through clearly hurts him in some way.
Fish sees this, yeah?
I think it's pretty obvious to everybody. It's just like, you know, you're in a small part of the room and everybody's looking at him. You can see it. It's just kind of like, you know, is that fear or is that pain, you know?
I want to do an Arcana roll on that.
Okay.
My theory is that the soul is strong as soul or something.
What was that? You're cutting out.
Is it a nat 20 or a nat 1?
Why would I be laughing if it was a nat 1? it's a nat 20.
Sometimes it's very funny. Sometimes
Okay.
it's very funny.
It's true, but this is triumphant laughter. That's a nat 20,
Okay.
which is just 20, but still.
Ellie, I did not hear what you were saying because you were cutting out.
Oh, I was just saying I'm theorizing that their soul catchers are strong enough. They're like catching at his soul or something before they go, oh, not a remnant, later.
Yeah, no, that's certainly possible. With a nat 20, what does that get your total to for Arcana?
Just 20.
Just 20. Okay. As you're focusing on this, let me get some appropriate music.
It's really slowed down Metrovania.
I do have that, but no. Is it this one that I like for this? I do have a problem of like all of my sounds are labeled like scary 8. And I'm like, is 8 the one that I really liked for this? Is the one I'm thinking of, or was that 7? Yes, this is the one I was thinking of. Haha.
Thank you, Scary 8. Now
Thank you,
that's the
Scary
title.
8. As you focus on this guy, you really look. It's pretty dark in here. It's pretty shadowed. You don't know whether it's some connection or instinct, but something does pull out of him, just not all the way. There is an ever so slight blurring of gray on the surface of his skin. You think back to those visions you've been having of Henry. He can clearly see people infected with remnants, but there's 2 types. Remnants with the very black veins, and remnants with gray only appearing in the large arteries, large veins. More subtle remnants, those are the ones Henry always said acted a little strange, but they weren't enemies. They were the cook at the diner, they were the cop that was nice to him. Jonas is the father of remnants. Is he restricted to continue to just make the one type? And your eyes start to hurt again. You realize that Eldritch Sight may solve this issue for you.
Up and on.
Close your eyes, flash open again. Flash of green. God, does it hurt. for just a moment. And then, like a veil being pulled back, or flesh being ripped off, you pushed Jonas further out of your power. He has less influence over you, and also he has less influence to restrict your abilities. As you've pushed past Jonas's ability to hide remnants from you, your eyes flash. And after a moment, you see the tracery of gray going through Brother Restora's arms. Rubzat. And you see starkly behind him, as if backlit suddenly, all of the remnants in this room, pure black. They're moving. They're crowding. 100, 500, 1,000, 3,000, maybe even more, as they wiggle and slide, invisible to the others, but in your sight, getting closer and closer, almost but not quite, starting to press up against that barrier between you. And it looks like they're focused on you.
Fish, like, flings their hand out to press on Asturia's chest to, like, just keep him, still, and then goes, "Would you take a step back for me?"
Astora looks, very concerned and confused, but is still handcuffed, so can't do anything about it. He looks to, Rag and Rain, who are looking at you curiously, but give a very small nod, and he ends up taking a step back.
Thank you. Ish has a moment of like, ah, and then.
Do you look at Rag and Rain?
Yes,
because
now
look-
turns to them.
that's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
They are entirely and completely clean. No remnant. But as you look behind them, one who drifted back towards the door, Sister Tarsandon has the gray. The two clerics, blindfolded, brought the rope, handcuffs, extra lanterns. They have it. But Rain and Rag are clear.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I'd like to make a persuasion roll because there's, it's like, dude, can you just do what I say without me explaining why I need it done? Just to Rain, like, would you please ask your other clerics there to also get behind the line?
Give me a persuasion check. With disadvantage. This is a big ask.
It's worth a shot. 9.
9.
Is it worth me trying Flash of Genius?
No, not now.
Okay.
I'm okay to lose on this one.
The clerics look at each other and say, Rain turns to you and says, unfortunately, that is against our security policies. It is. We have found easier for a remnant to potentially slip out when more people crowd through the soul catchers, so only one at a time may pass through.
No, that makes perfect sense. But they are already devising an alternate way to escape outside of that. I can see them. And I'm very sorry to tell you this, but some of your people are partially infected. Infected in a different way, where I wouldn't say, Ostera, you're not possessed or anything. Like, you're just a guy, but you're influenced. There's something that's sticking to you. I bet it would be the same way with all of these, and that they may be working on one day hitching a ride back.
Brother, sister, what are they talking about? I don't know, Brother Astora. What are these? How can you not be fully infected with a remnant? You are infected and you have a day until it clings to your soul, which it can be removed. Or you are not.
Well, say there was something out there making new ones, a new kind. It's a suspicion I've had for some time, and I fear it may have already visited these halls.
That is a very serious accusation, Cleric Snapper. What proof do you have? There are new remnants.
So, Ted, calm down. Sorry. Do you think maybe if, Fish, reached out to Rain with their magic, that, they could share this vision with them, with him?
I don't think you could share a vision. You could try and make it a little more convincing. Like, you might be able to give him a sense of wrongness from people who have remnants. I think the actual sight is too powerful for that.
Yeah.
But Sister Rag says something in Farsi that Brother Rain translates. There is.
This doesn't need a translation, but okay.
Yeah. But I mean, it's talking to the room at large. What you hear from Sister Rag is there is one way to be sure. Brother Astora, please step out and stop between the soul catchers. Kind of hesitantly does. You can see it hurts him. Now it's kind of a constant low-level pain. And Sister Rag steps up, gives you a little nod to make some space. Gathers shadows into her hands. Places one on his head, thumb on his head, and another on his heart. And then of necromantic magic, she exorcises Remnant. If it hadn't been a day, if it wasn't attached to, it wasn't thoroughly attached to someone's soul, this is a very powerful and costly spell, but one that is important for keepers of remnants to have. You can see it takes a lot out of her, not something she can do multiple times a day. Obviously, soul catchers are way better. But Astora grunts and then opens his mouth. A thin ribbon, gray instead of black, smoky instead of solid, crawls out of his mouth, whips behind him, and disappears into the room with the rest of the remnants. Oh. I feel it now. Less angry, less suspicious.
How's that for proof?
Rag and Rain look incredibly scared, and are like, Stora, come over here. We'll get you out of the handcuffs and check the others. And as the other clerics start trading off, they all each go through the soul catchers, and those that experience pain are isolated on the other side. You hear a voice in your head. Oh, Fish. Well done. Well done indeed. I did think that would last for quite a bit longer. But, well, you've always impressed. How are you enjoying my new children?
Instead of replying, Fish goes, "What do you want with the kid?"
Oh. There are many children in the world, Fish. You'll have to be more specific.
You know who I'm talking about.
Oh. Dear Henry. Oh, Henry has a very special role to play. He's testing out some of my new allies, my new experiments. He has been instrumental to the development of these new children of mine. I fear he's starting to perhaps outlive his usefulness a little bit, though. It is sad, but it happens, of course. The Abomination, as you know him, has been pressing for quite a long time to get a hold of him. Thinks he would be good raw materials. I've resisted, of course, but now we're getting to a point where saying no doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Getting pushed around. Answering to other people's orders. That is what you're being reduced to.
I prefer to think of it as a give and take. We all have things to trade, things to build, things to create, things to find.
What's May gonna give you?
That's entirely up to May, isn't it? I have.
If you're not gonna help me out or give me a hint, I think you can fuck off for now.
Well, let's just say I've got big plans for all of you.
Yeah.
Well, Fish, I'm afraid Henry needs my attention, so I'll have to say goodbye.
I'll find him.
Oh. I hope so. And if you ever want help with that, you only have to ask and give in.
Fish is not responding. Fish is done with that.
Have fun, fish. I think I distracted you long enough. And
Yes.
Jonas disappears as you become aware of a scrabbling, clicking. You look out into the remnant's room. This little gray remnant having flit through and communed with its older siblings. They're visible to all of you now. They press right up against the edge of this line. These soul catchers, and have started to dig, to press, to thrash, trying to escape.
It's not gonna do any good, but Fish like steps forward. It's like, get the fuck back!
They struggle harder. They seem to be very focused, digging the hardest, swimming the hardest on you. Sister Tarsandon! Brother Auk! Are you there? This wiggling group of black remnants has grown thick enough to obscure where the chair was sitting, where these others were standing during the test. Gone. Can't see them. You can't hear them.
Shit, sorry, okay, now I'm out of ideas.
With May's seismic sense, can she feel any struggle behind the remnants?
With your seismic sense, which is 15 feet, if I'm correct?
Tremor that's the word. 10 feet.
10 feet. 10 feet, you feel the impact of the chair hitting the ground as it's knocked over. It's a little too far if they had moved away from you even a little bit for you to feel the people, but you don't know if they're still there.
With the line, can May still see it?
Yep.
If she were to use Mold Earth to strengthen it somehow?
You do not think there is a way you could mold Earth without weakening it.
Shit, okay.
Okay, but maybe look down at the line and see how it's kind of wonky, as you described. And Fish like looks to May and goes, "Do you think we could like work on that, make it a bit stronger?"
Yeah, May would be like, yes, but I assume it would probably take time, right, Patrick?
Yeah, it'll probably take time. Here's a question. As you turn and ask May this, are you still doing Eldritch Sight to kind of like look at the whole room?
Yeah.
Okay. So you turn and look at May. Well, something had a hold on her. Something you couldn't peel out. And as she bends down, examines these symbols guarding, you see the traceries of gray in her skin. The remnant has been making her angrier, more paranoid, more secretive, pushing, pulling, influencing. Looking up and up into her face, into her eyes, the confusion there, the concern, and the suspicion. May, Fish is looking at you like they want to attack you.
Um, how badly do they look like they're going to attack me?
They're gonna kick you in. They're gonna kick you past the fucking line. That's for sure.
Then May is going to step back, and depending on what they do next, she's gonna full on shove them or spell them away from her, which would happen to be over the line.
Jesus. Okay. But,
That depends
can-
entirely on what. Yeah.
real quick glance just to Colliginous, just to be like, hold on, are you good?
And then you look at Jamal, and he's got the full black face.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jamal is all black
whatever.
veins.
That's
No,
fine.
Jamal is genuinely like, what the fuck is going on? He's so scared and concerned.
But is Colliginous grade?
No.
Okay, cool. Didn't think so, but just good to check. Just to be like, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
She did get really angry at her old family this morning.
You remember May getting kidnapped while you were in China, spending a little time with Jonas, maybe being implanted. It seemed like maybe her behavior changed just a little bit since then. Of course, assumed it was the kidnapping.
Bitch says, May, you're infected too. Go behind the line.
Kel's like eyebrows go way up. But she doesn't like correct fish.
May looks appalled. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Something behind the line?
Okay, but well, you just at least will keep you real close and keep an eye on you because, like I said, you're infected, which you didn't react to is as much. Considering, like I feel like the normal May would go, "Wow, that sucks." You haven't really
well,
been the normal.
The normal May hasn't had to deal with fish about Jonas for the past several months. How do you know this isn't him trying to drive something between us?
Kel says very slowly, May.
I thought the story was that we weren't mentioning him.
May's agitated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
says-
can see that, like, maybe they heard you, but the clerics are like trying to figure out how to reinforce the line and
Yeah.
do this. Their backs are kind of to you.
Cal says, and I know this is gonna make it worse. May, we're not accusing you. We just want to be safe. What can we do to assure you, so we can just test to make sure you are clear?
I don't know, Patrick, how does that make me feel?
I was gonna say, May's like, you're gonna get their side again, and Kel's like, yeah, they have magic
Yeah,
eyeballs.
actually, yeah, May does say that.
Just you're taking their side again.
Yeah, May, fucking camera's pissing me off. May is like, you trust them with Jonas in them. What's going to happen when I'm over that line? I can't even feel anybody over there anymore.
Look, we don't know that anything's bad happening to them, but like it's our only certified quarantine space. May, think about this smartly. You're the smart one, or both of you are the smart one. Use your brain.
May's going to do a self-insight.
Okay. Roll
Does she have
self-insight.
disadvantage?
Yes.
Okay, that's an 11.
How dare Fish use this against you? After all you've been through, the kidnapping, the reflections. Your own reflection wanted to hurt you. Like, they remember that, right? Like, you were kidnapped and belonged to Jonas and almost eaten by a weird hand creature. How fucking dare they? You changed a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a little more paranoid. I'm a little stressed. I was fucking kidnapped. And now, the one who we've confirmed works with Jonas, the one who we've confirmed just spent a bunch of time with the reflections after we separated, is trying to separate me out. And what's gonna happen next? Then they're gonna convince Caligulus, and Caligulus is gonna cross the line. And then they're gonna convince Jamal, and then everybody's gonna be stuck, and Jonas in Fish is just gonna have everything that he wants.
May is going to cast Earth Ripple, because baby, they're surrounded by Earth. And Patrick, based on that self-insight, would May be aiming to just fling Fish away, or would she be aiming to...
If you cause damage, the library's gonna kill you, just telling you.
Are we still part of the...
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Don't roll initiative.
Okay, give me a sec. 'cause I
That
have
would
to
be
think
funny
then.
if May was like, and Cal would be like, May, I don't want you to die, please. Disengage.
Please don't do this.
I'm just looking for anything I have that doesn't cause damage that will.
You can choose what am I trying to say? You can choose to always do non-lethal damage on any attack that you do. You don't know if, like, the library kind of recognizes or doesn't recognize non-lethal damage as okay, or if that's still like an attack. But I will say that in addition to Earth Ripple, you also have a shoving attack where you physically push Fish back. Same as Earth Ripple, 5 feet in a direction of your choice. There's no damage and is not inherently knocked prone. And instead of a dexterity saving throw, it is a contested athletics check.
While you're thinking on that, I just want to do some dialogue because Fish, fast talker.
Yeah.
It's like, May, we care about you. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm telling you that,
May,
it's like telling you that you have a cold.
It's okay.
I'm not like being like, how dare you have a cold? I'm just telling you that you have a fucking cold.
Yeah, May, you have a
We want to help
cold.
you out. And listen. We saw what happened to Astura. Step over the line, and they won't possess you, and it's because you already got a thing in you, and then there'll be proof. Come on, listen to me. I know he's talking to you. I know he is, and I've tried to do something about it, and I know what it's like to have him in your head, and I don't want you to have to deal with that alone. And that's why you think I'm always asking you how you are. I'm worried about you. May.
Jonas is not
Cal
talking in your
also-
head. Jonas is not talking in your head. Fish is lying more to get you.
Yeah, can May do...
separated.
Can I have Cal dialogue real quick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cal goes,
May, I'll have them handcuff me and I'll walk over with you.
May's gonna roll insight
Yep.
on Fish. It's like a 14.
Okay, what am I rolling for sincerity?
Persuasion, it would be right.
Persuasion?
Can I have advantage because it's really true?
No.
Cal is trying to also play mediator by saying, like, hey, if you're scared of going over the line, I'll go with you. They'll
You
roll
are-
us, they'll
Something
you are
that
can-
has just been afraid of. So like
You are
that's only gonna
canceling
make it
out.
worse.
You're essentially canceling out her disadvantage for the self-insight check with Cal, because while May cannot actually hear it, there is a voice in her mind essentially going, they're trying to fuck with you. They're trying to get you. They are going to hurt you. Like push and push and push and push and push. So no, it's May got a flat roll instead of disadvantage, and Fish, give me a flat persuasion roll.
Yep.
D14.
I already know what's going to happen, even if you succeed. But yeah.
No, it's a 9 again.
See, you laugh, but it's not a 20.
Does that in any way persuade May that at least they're like, even if like they're trying to get her across the line, they.
You're cutting
Lost
out.
skill.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My question is, with that persuasion, with May's insight, I imagine that May remains unconvinced that she is sick, but does it convince her that Fish isn't trying to hurt her? Like, they really think that they're protecting her.
I think it convinces you that Fish doesn't want to hurt you to get you out of the way. You're still friends, and maybe some part of Fish is in there with Jonas that doesn't want to see you hurt just out of the way. I think a 9 is also enough to be like, maybe Cal is not against me, just is not seeing that Fish is corrupted here.
Okay. Between this, paranoia, and I imagine the Revenant being like, get the fuck out of there before they do something to you. May is going to cast Hypnotic Pattern, which requires everyone who sees it to make a Wisdom saving throw. And if you fail it, you become charmed for a minute. So you guys have to do a Wisdom throw and aim to beat, pretty sure it's 16 for me. Yeah, 16. And May's gonna make a run for it. Because she remembers how to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna flee.
Alright.
Okay, let me roll for Jamal.
I forgot other people are here with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to Ink, do you want to roll for Kekino, or should I?
I would like to roll for Kakano.
Okay.
Please. For the funsies of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fish rolled a 19, which is +2 on wisdom, so 21. You're not charming the fuck out of them. And
In that case, May is going to use, I reckon, Silvery Barbs. So you have
You're
to
not
use the
gonna-
lower roll.
you're not
re-roll
gonna
and use
fucking
the lower
believe
roll.
this. You're not gonna
Yeah?
believe this. I didn't even. They're both 19.
But how does it work then in Silvery Barbs, Patrick? Do they do a third roll?
No, as in Kakano's roll was also 19.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Maybe Kekino survives. Yes. The way it works for Silvery Barbs is you roll again and take the lower roll. So
Yeah.
if you get a 19 or 20, then you're fine. Otherwise, you get lower than that, whatever lower.
Okay. Alright, then I will roll again.
Yeah, you can't get higher than a 19. And
18.
Yeah.
who do you choose to give advantage to? Yourself?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I got a 13.
Which means
Okay.
Cal is charmed.
Cal failed. Jamal failed. Rain failed. Rag succeeded. Fish succeeded. Kekino succeeded.
Yeah. So in that case, May is then going to run, and in the process, as she leaves the door, is going to throw up mold earth to block it, and then keep fucking running.
Okay. The only person who is even a little bit between you and the door is Jamal and Cal, and you are able to just push them aside, slam the door, throw the lock, mold earth it shut. You run. And with that, we will close today's session of Well Dressed Bones.
Every time I
Alien-
get close to potentially possessed Cal, it's
Yeah.
torn away.
I mean, you're stuck in a room with a bunch of remnants trying to get at you. It could still happen.
Yeah, but like, yeah.
No, but Ellie and I actually discussed this ever since May was kidnapped, and have in the background been feeding her impulses from the remnant about negative things to do, and May has so far succeeded on a lot of wisdom saving throws to do some truly bad things to you. All right. With that, we will close out Craig for the session. Goodbye, Craig. Thanks for staying with us. Of course, thank you as well to GameBot. And we will have our post-session discussion now.